Welcome, my little couch potatoes, to the comfiest courtroom on the internet. I'm your host, Llama, and it's time for dramatic testimony, overruled objections, and absolutely unqualified opinions. So grab your snuggiest blanket, some delicious snacks, and get ready to watch court with your internet besties. This is Couch Court with Llama.
Good morning, couch potatoes. Hope you're all doing well today. We are day 2 of New Hampshire versus Dustin Duren, and I got stuff to share with you guys about this case because I had a lot of questions after trial yesterday. So I went through some of the court documents to learn more. But before I go over that, court has not started yet. They don't even have their seal up. Let's say hello. Good morning, Lady in Gray. Hope you're doing well. Grab your coffee. And you know what Elbow got me at the store yesterday? Snacks and good coffee. That's right. They got me Starbucks coffee, coffee creamer, and grapes. I don't know if you're listening, bells, yet, but I got me those grapes finally. I do eat healthy snacks as well. Um, anyway, good morning. Hello, 80s music man. Hello. Hope you're doing well this morning. Pam, good morning. Gonna be listening today, but unable to chat. That's fine. We like our lurkers just as well. Love you being here, regardless. Um, okay, so first and foremost, we know the charges here: second-degree murder. He's using self-defense is the defense for Dustin. Okay, he's saying that he believed that Caitlyn was going to kidnap the girls, the oldest girl, and take them back to Minnesota. And a lot of us had questions about what just kidnapping. What are you even saying? Well, it turns out, hold on, is this the tab I'm sharing? Yes, it is. It turns out that in New Hampshire, according to their statute, with physical force in defense of a person, which is what his defense team is using, if you come in here, part two, it says a person is justified in using deadly force upon another person when he reasonably believes that such other person is about to use unlawful deadly force against an actor or third person, or B, is likely to use any unlawful force against a person present while committing or attempting to commit a burglary, or this one here is committing or about to commit kidnapping or a forcible sex offense. Now, that those are not the laws everywhere, but in New Hampshire, they are. So that explains why they keep bringing up the kidnapping as the reason it happened. But in the court documents, that's where all the real tea is. Good morning, Teresa. How are you? I hope you're well. Haven't seen you in a while, babe. Maybe you've just been lurking, but I hope you're doing great. Oh, I backed out of my thing. Well, that's okay. That's all I had to share with that anyway. Um, so I'll kind of briefly go over what I found in the court documents. There's a few of them that I would like us to read. We don't got time for that this morning, probably. So yesterday, court ended early, so the two sides could argue about some motions in limine that were awaiting a decision by the judge. Um, One of those arguments was about Aunt Brenda. Now, Aunt Brenda is not on the prosecution's witness list. She was. They had an even longer witness list and they cut a bunch of people. But she is on the defense witness list. And I was like, that's kind of weird. Why is that? Well, now we know. And that's because Aunt Brenda, Miss Plamondon, and Miss Spurgeon, her friend, have a lot to say about Caitlyn having a plan to take the kids, which that's what the defense wants to say, is that she had this, elaborate plan to take the kids back to Minnesota, which is fine. Except what the defense doesn't want the jury to know is that it's because Mr. Duren was reported by several people to be abusive to Caitlyn, and that Caitlyn had expressed this plan that she let him take Elwyn to New Hampshire because she was afraid of him because of past incidences, and it wasn't great. It wasn't great. Now, the defense does not want the jury to to know about the potential abuse, right? Prior bad acts kind of thing. They're 404B. I think we hear 404B enough that some of you might know 404B, right? They're like, no, it past allegations of abuse, not it doesn't have anything to do with this, which I'm like, au contraire, statistics say otherwise, but okay. Now the state is like, yeah, you see though, if you want to use the kidnapping thing, right? And you want to say that she had a plan, then you're opening the door to the abuse allegations, right? Because that's her motivation for wanting it to happen in the first place. And so the state agreed not to bring up the abuse allegations, which I'm guessing is why they took Miss blame it on Aunt Brenda off the witness list. They agree they're not going to bring it up unless defense opens the door. And so that's kind of what they were arguing about yesterday to give that some context. I do have a couple court documents that really go into what they're trying to um, what has been said uh, in police reports and things like that. We can go over later. I also saw in one of the footnotes, I think it was the judge's order. Anyway, one of them. Oh, there's two more things to tell you. So in one of the footnotes, I don't remember exactly which one, but I know I have it on here. One of the footnotes says that they did not have a formal custody agreement at all, which means there's no, as long as those girls were born in Minnesota, he doesn't have any right to them. So we don't know for a fact that both girls were born in Minnesota. They did live in Vegas in a time. I don't know Vegas's laws, but what I do know is that they did not have a legal binding custody agreement with either one of the girls, right? He also said in the opening statement, his lawyer said that he said Caitlyn wanted $2,000 a month in child support. I think that's made up because ain't nobody getting $2,000 in child support who is on this income level. Okay. Because he claimed in his request for a lawyer that he only made, here's this. Oh, I gotta pull it. I saved this. So he was arrested with $400 on him. He says he makes $2,180 in VA disability a month, and his employer is Google, YouTube. Okay, listen, I don't know how the other states do child support, but here, if the parents can't agree, guess what? We have a whole formula. It doesn't freaking matter. Doesn't matter at all. And $2,000 is outrageous for somebody who only brings 2380 a month in. Like that's, I think he made that up, is what I'm implying here, because that's wildly unrealistic. And I think he was making that up about her. Oh, hello, Tracy. Good morning. I hope you're doing great. Welcome back, new friend. Lady Grace says, I think if her plan is put in as evidence, then the reason for her plan should be as well. And that's exactly what they've been arguing about in the documents for this entire year, actually. So the other thing, too, is... Oh, so in one of these documents, all right, the defense hired Dr. Robert Pittman, who is on their witness list. All right. He's a forensic psychiatrist or a psychiatrist of some kind, right, to uh, analyze Dustin, right? His side paid for it. Well, when Dr. Pittman turns in his findings, okay, this is what creates a problem because he says he thinks that, oh, this was an act of PTSD, right? They're claiming PTSD a lot. They're bringing it up a lot. The problem with that is that with the statute, it has the word reasonably, right? A reasonable person would come to this conclusion or do this sort of thing, this reasonableness, right? Well, Dr. Piven says that he was being unreasonable, right? That he was triggered by PTSD, even his lawyer said, oh, well, it just was automatic. He didn't even think, he didn't even know anything. Why? My Discord just made a weird noise. It's weird, like bones shaking. That's fun. Um, so here's the thing. If it has to be a reasonable act, but if you're in the middle of a PTSD episode, you are unreasonable. So how can you be both? Because just because he believed that that was the case, if he was having an episode, doesn't make it real, right? Because what would a reasonable person do? So I think those are very interesting or arguments that they've been having in these court docs, and explains a little bit more of what we heard yesterday. And I think when we do the morning break, well, when court does the morning break, that I will read a few of these court documents if we have the time, and go over that, because it was pretty eye opening to understand the story more. You know. So, good morning, Angie. Good morning. Hope you're doing well. Be Lola's mom. Good morning to you, babes. Hope you're doing well. Well, sorry, I have had like 2 sips of coffee today, and I can't even believe my brain got together to to read that. So, because the state was looking to strike Dr. Pittman's testimony on the PTSD thing, they're like, "What? If you're saying this, that doesn't match up with his defense legally." And they're like, "No, that's not how that works." And it's like, I think it does. So it's going to be very interesting. I mean, we heard a lot yesterday. It didn't sound like, even if he reasonably thought she was going to kidnap the kids, it could not have been in that moment at all. Because where was she going to go? How was she going to go somewhere? It just, for me, that is not what that law was written to cover, if that makes sense. Um, and I think that the defense is going to have a very hard time convincing people that this was a kidnapping situation that required deadly force. Like, I don't know about that. I don't know about that at all. And what's interesting too in the documents that I found is that he was worried that she was going to kidnap Elowen. He wasn't worried about the other one. He was just worried about Elowen, which was weird, if you ask me. But you think you're awake, but not entirely certain. Oh, I know. I did not want to wake up this morning at all. At all, if you can't tell. Good morning, Stavage. Stavage. Savage, good morning to you. Hope you're doing well. Already with the songs. Appreciate it. Good morning, elbow feet. Coffee, delicious. Thank you. Um, Angie says, not buying kidnapping at this time. No, not at all. And again, if she had legal, I'm still perplexed. Okay. Is she technically in custody because they had no formal custody agreement, right? If both the girls were in Minnesota, born in Minnesota. Let's see, is Vegas a non-wed mother's state? Probably not. Las Vegas. Oh, wait, that'd be Nevada, not Las Vegas. Nevada, unwed mother. Let's see. Yes. So even if the baby was born, the youngest one was born in Nevada, unwed mothers have inherent parental rights to their children, granting them the legal authority to make all decisions until it's contested in court. Okay. Again, one of the sides, somebody in court put in the footnote that they didn't have one, and you can't really make that stuff up in um in court documents. So I'm going to go with there was one. So how are you kidnapping your own child that you have the rights to. That they haven't argued in paper yet, and that confuses me. Why they keep why not? So, I don't know. That's what I found. I'm not a lawyer, and that was my interpretation of the things that I found. Um so I thought I would just share with you guys because I know many of us had a lot of questions yesterday about what is happening. Um but I do have, what is this? This is like 13 pages, but we don't have to read all of that. Um, but that is what, those are the few big issues in this case that they've been arguing about. Now, so they filed all these motions, right? And the judge said yesterday he didn't make an automatic decision. He said, I'll probably just stick to the kind of rulings you've seen before from me, which I didn't know what that was because all of his rulings that I could find were basically like, we'll just wait and see if it happens at trial, which maybe that's exactly what he means. I don't know. But that was that was what he had to say about that. So, um, boss is in today. Oh, sneaky Lola. Oh goodness. All right, we got some seal, and you know what else I learned about New Hampshire is they have a much colorful seal than this one. So, just thought I would let you know. This one's pretty basic, but their normal one very colorful. So, um, but yeah, that's what I went into a rabbit hole after we got off of here yesterday. This guy's totally going to have to take the stand. That's for sure. But again, I'm going to have a hard time. Like, even if they do use the PTSD defense, that still wouldn't be justified homicide, right? Wouldn't that be, I think that could qualify as reason of insanity, which they are not saying. So I'm very confused about that. But it'll probably sort itself over in the next couple days. Now, the judge also said that they told the jury they were going to have to set aside a few weeks for this trial. I don't think so. I don't think that's happening at all. We know the state has the medical examiner that can't come until Thursday. So the state is probably going to rest on Thursday, would be my guess, because they don't need to call that many people. We're supposed to have a full day today. The judge made them promise we would have a full day. They didn't talk about Wednesday at all, so I don't even know if there's court Wednesday. They went from Tuesday to Thursday. They said nothing about Wednesday. So we'll have to see what that means. But I think this trial is going to be wrapped up by early next week for sure. I mean, if not, I don't know why to drag it out that long, but that's right, guys. If you haven't yet, please hit the like button. Llama earns gavel, Terry gets shot at pink glitter, it lets everybody know that we're live and that this is the place they want to be to watch this trial because we have a good time. We have a good time. We like to talk to one another, have different opinions, which is great. Maybe he's leaving Wednesday open for other court obligations. I mean, maybe that would be great. I'll be honest. If I can sleep in Wednesday, that would be great. I won't be upset about it. Excuse me. Apologize. That's true. His schedule could be busy that day with other things. It would just be nice if they said something. Because let me tell you one great thing about this court and their court documents. I have not seen this before in other state documents, but they do like a whole scheduling sheet, like everything when it's due by, when the jury is, when the trial is, it's all in one place, all the dates for everything. And I was like, ooh, I like that. Haven't seen that done in other places where I've looked at court documents. I was like, this is nice. Thank you. Much appreciated. Um, oh yes. So the oldest daughter, Elwyn, who would be 5 or 6 right now, is on the prosecution's witness list. I don't know why she's on there. Um, I don't like that. I don't think that they're going to call her. I don't know why they would call a 5, 6-year-old to take the stand regardless. Um, it would be for emotions because you couldn't really trust anything a 5 or 6-year-old says. Not that she would knowingly lie or anything, but they only have so much of a vocabulary, right? And so sometimes they can say things where, because they don't have other ways to express something, it actually can be how we interpret it, it could be wildly wrong. So I really hope if I was on the jury, I don't need to hear from the little girl at all. I don't need that. I don't think they're going to do that. I want to see why they would do that, but she is on there, and I hope that they don't either. If they did, it would be what they call in camera, meaning just between the child and the judge. We wouldn't see any of it, but still, that just doesn't seem necessary, knowing what we know, you know. Normally, we'd be like, yeah, we want a witness who saw it happen. But I'll be honest, I don't want the 5 or 6-year-old to have to talk about what she saw. I don't need that. I don't need that at all. Good morning, Kelly P. Hope you're doing well today. Happy Tuesday to you. And super early morning. You and Angie are the early birds. I'm over here. It's like 9:10, and I'm just like, ugh, why am I awake right now? And you all, it's like 6 in the morning or something crazy like that. No, thank you. And today, for our lunch break, we will be taking a lunch break from court. So we'll have a morning stream and afternoon stream. But for lunch today, I'm going to go over to some of our members and we're going to do a Llama Learns About today. I don't know how many things we'll be able to learn about because of time. So we'll have to see. But we'll go over and do that during the lunch break and then come back and reconvene for the afternoon today. Though maybe I should wait and see Wednesday. No, whatever. We'll still do it for lunch. Zoe, what are you doing? No. My dogs this morning are ridiculous. Oh, it's been a rough morning with these two. Yeah, it's early. Hey, babes, I would much rather cover a trial on your time than mine. Speaking of, though, Ange and our West Coasters, the 2 trials I'm looking for in November, there's only 2. So I'll be covering this trial. I'm going to take a break to catch up on other things. We'll do some other court stuff, just not a full trial, because I'm waiting until the middle of November. It's
Hampshire versus Dustin Duren,
and
scheduled for day 2 of the jury trial. This is hearing outside the presence of the jury. Counsel, please identify yourselves for the record.
Bethany Duren for the state.
Good morning, Josh Fleischer for the state.
Morning.
okay. We're having quiet time.
Margaret Kettles representing Mr. Duren.
Okay, good morning, council. Good morning, Mr. Duren. Please be seated. Okay, just a few quick things before I bring the jury in. First of all, there was some discussion relative to the media access to the proceedings. We have attempted to try to clean up or to specify that during breaks that there would not be a live mic on. So I'm getting a nod from the back that that's and a thumbs up. So again, I just urge, thank you for that, number one. Number two, just in case there's any technical issue with that, I also encourage everyone to be mindful that during breaks that even though there's an intent and an ability to turn off the mic, there might be a situation where a mic is live. So I would just urge people to be mindful of that. Second, Attorney Duran, with respect to the 2 in-camera motions, I went back and I did grant those.
Thank you, Your Honor.
So I did.
I don't know that came through to us, but
Okay.
I appreciate you checking.
So I think medical records was September 3rd by my by my reckoning, and
I was thinking the same thing,
CAC was
Angie,
also
but like
September 3rd.
grossing.
So if for some reason they didn't get to you, then there's your notice.
Thank you.
Okay, so if there's anything in those that I missed, but I simply granted them as is. Next, with regard to the motion to reconsider, again, I'm denying the motion to reconsider. I've got a few more comments to make with respect to that. I did review the transcript again relative to the statements at issue.
Oh, yeah, there was a
And
transcript.
so adopting the reasoning as proffered by the defendant, but also a few more comments in that regard. Specifically, the state is offering the defendant's statement to the police as part of the transcript and the video, which has already been litigated. Based upon my review of the statement, it does contain hearsay. We've already litigated, and we had a specific hearing on this 2 weeks ago, the proposed redactions to the statement, and I've already made my rulings in that regard. As part of that overall statement, and I specifically go to page 56 of that statement,
What are they talking about was not.
Mr. Duren, in his
They
comment
announced
to the police, indicated, I'm reading from line 21, and then she just said, no, comma, I'm staying here, comma, and I'm not leaving, period. That's at page 56, line 21 through 22. So the touchstone, or the lodestar, relative to my analysis in that regard, goes back to Mr. Duren's rights under these proceedings, relative to the right to present all proofs favorable, and the general confrontation right relative to a statement such as that. So based upon that, and looking at Rule 806, which for purposes of this proceeding, I will read into the record relative to 806, that when a hearsay statement has been admitted in evidence, the declarant's credibility may be attacked and then supported by any evidence that would be admissible for those purposes if the declarant had testified as a witness. The court may admit evidence of the declarant's inconsistent statement or conduct regardless of when it occurred or whether the declarant had an opportunity to explain or deny it. So again, with respect to Ms. Naffziger's statement, I believe that my ruling is that Ms. Duren has the right to challenge that statement, and I'm admitting it for credibility purposes in that vein. Substantively, I'm also allowing it for now as evidence in support of the claim of defense of others. However, I would also note for the record that I'm still waiting for further legal argument relative to the issue that was raised during the motions hearing 2 weeks ago, which we will continue to work on that, and we will have to have a hearing on that relative to the defendant's legal position, to put it in the simplest terms possible, as to whether you can kidnap your own kid. So we referenced that during the hearing 2 weeks ago as a legal proposition, not as a factual proposition, and that's something that needs to be returned to. I understand that there's a need to proceed with openings and the presentation of evidence before we get to the final jury instructions. However, that issue still is being yet to be ruled on, the specific ramifications of that. So again, I'm denying the motion to reconsider relative to a Rule 806 ruling as to the credibility, as to Mr. Duren's right to attack the credibility of that statement as he made it, once that statement is offered into evidence as a hearsay statement under 8033 as referenced by Attorney Kettles yesterday. And then substantively, I'm allowing it for now, subject to how we end up having the legal ruling on the issue that I flagged last week. Attorney Duren or Spicer, any questions on my rulings with respect to the motion to reconsider?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, objection duly noted. Anything further, Attorney Kinney or Attorney Kettles, on that issue?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, all right, thank you. And the final housekeeping matter is, just so counsel are aware, when the jury does come in, the first thing I'm going to do is inquire as to whether they have had any media exposure. In the event that they have, we will be taking a break. Okay, anything else before we bring the jury in?
Oh. Okay.
Okay, all set.
So, I don't really know what he said. I don't think they really decided on much of anything. Cool. Excuse me. Now, there's no custody order or any other legal order. You can't kidnap your own kid. Exactly. What? And if he said, oh, she said she's not going to leave, she's going to stay right here, how is that kidnapping? When it's his house? I don't know. I think it's very interesting. Very interesting trial we got here. Sometimes ones we don't know about are even more like, oh, interesting.
All rise.
Sorry.
Boys County Superior Court is now in session. The Honorable Jonathan F. Rizal presiding.
Okay. I don't think he really ruled on much. I'll be honest. I don't really know. I don't really know.
Okay, good morning. Thank you. Please be seated. Okay, good morning, members of the jury. Thank you for your punctuality. A few quick comments before we get started for the day. I did indicate to you yesterday, as I think that you probably were aware, that there is a media presence during the course of this trial. And one thing I did not state yesterday, but I wanted to bring to your attention and to assure you of, is that one of the standing orders of the court system, it's not just my order, it's the entire New Hampshire Superior Court judicial branch, there is an order relative to the media presence during these proceedings. As you know, it is an open courtroom. But one of the standing orders that is directed to the media is that the jurors' faces are not to be shown as part of the proceedings. So I wanted I didn't say that yesterday, and I want to assure you of that.
Basically.
That your, whether it's still photography or whether it's any videos, that you would not be as part of that transmission. I wanted to bring that to your attention. And the second thing I wanted to follow up on is, again, because there is a media presence during this trial, if any of you have had exposure relative to anything in the media in the last 24 hours during the break since yesterday, if you could raise your hand and we'll address that if that has occurred. Okay, please thank you. Please let the record reflect that none of the jury members raised their hand. So I thank you for that. And again, that's going to be a continuing order and instruction to you to, number one, avoid all contact relative to any media representations or coverage as to what's happening here today. And as I said, to please take affirmative steps to avoid inadvertent exposure as well. So I thank you for following my instructions in that regard. Okay? Ready to proceed?
Thank you, Your Honor. The state calls Tracy Flaherty.
Tracy Flattery, is that what they said? Let's see who she is. Who this is? Her name is not on the...
Good morning, ma'am. Can you please raise your right
Oh,
hand?
there she is.
Do you swear that the testimony you are about to give is the truth under the pain and penalty of perjury?
I do.
Thank you. Please have a seat.
All right, let's go,
Good
friends.
morning. Could you please tell the jury your name and spell your last name?
Good morning. My name is Tracy Flaherty. First name Tracy, T-R-A-C-E-Y. Last name Flaherty, F-L-A-H-E-R-T-Y.
Ms. Flaherty, where do you work?
I work for the New Hampshire State Police Major Crime Unit. I'm an intelligence analyst.
How long have you worked for the New Hampshire State Police?
I worked for the New Hampshire State Police since 2016. Prior to that, I was an intelligence analyst with the FBI for 16 and a half years. Then I was an analyst with Liberty Mutual, Special Investigations Unit, working medical fraud. And I had my own business for a few years before joining the state police, where I provided training to private investigators and law enforcement on the techniques of intelligence analysis, how it can be used in cold cases and missing persons.
Oh, wow.
Thank you, Ms. Flaherty. You mentioned that you are an intelligence analyst. We'll keep it specific to the New Hampshire State Police. What do you do for the New Hampshire State Police as an intelligence
Look
analyst?
at you go, Tracy.
So I assist in major crime investigations. Those are typically homicides. I help generate leads by researching and locating individuals. I also review evidence that's collected. That could be based on a search warrant, so communication records, maybe financial records, social media. I may assist in looking at devices, depending on the needs of the case.
Thank you. Ms. Flaherty, you mentioned locating people. Do you have any experience with New Hampshire State Police or the FBI or any other of your stops on your career in working with cell phone location data?
I do. Since working with state police, I've had training in actual location data that's obtained from communication records from cell phone carriers.
And about how many times would you say you've had the occasion to do that?
Oh, I've testified about 10 times. This is, I think, my 10th trial, and I have probably worked on 75 to 100 different cases that involved communication records, and many of those involve location data.
Could you describe any training you may have with regard to cell phone location data and communications data?
Absolutely. So since joining the state police, I attended a training seminar from the FBI Cellular Analysis Survey Team, which is called FBI CAS Team. They're an elite team within the FBI that focuses solely on cellular analysis and location data. I've also attended some other courses from them. In addition, I have attended several online classes from their NDCAC, which is the National Domestic Communication Analysis Center. So they have to keep up with the technology. I've also attended training in person and live webinars from a vendor called Cellhawk. They have the software that I use to assist in the mapping.
Okay. So Ms. Flaherty, you mentioned mapping and using software. Could you explain what you mean by that?
Absolutely. So when it comes to talking about a cell phone and location data, your phone is continuously, in order to use it, it's interacting with cell towers. It needs to connect to an antenna, typically mounted on a tower. You're probably used to seeing them on the highway, those big, large structures. But they can also be an antenna that's mounted on a building or a sign. But anyway, your phone does need to connect to an antenna. And so what we end up doing is every tower has a unique phone number, or ID number, I should say. And within the phone records that we receive, that tells us what tower maybe an event is connected to. So for instance, a call. When you make a call or receive a call and your phone connects to a tower, that tower has a unique number. And in the data, we also have not only that unique number of the tower, but what side of the tower, which helps us give a general direction of where that device is when it's connected to the tower. So either for call detail records, which we received in this case, which is incoming, outgoing calls that are made, or specialized location records, which is engineering data, we actually get those unique ID numbers. And the carrier also provides a list of all the towers and those numbers, the sectors, which is that side of the tower that I mentioned, where the antennas are placed, and then how those sectors are orientated. And so by matching that up, and the software helps because it's a volume of data, by matching that up between the two, I can then map that latitude and longitude of the tower that's being used, and then know what side of the tower. And as we'll see in the maps, you can get an idea of general direction of the device and then movement of that device.
Ms. Flaherty, thank you. That's quite a lot of information. I want to back up a little bit. You mentioned that you, in your work, doing this kind of work, generally use communications data. Are there different types of data that you receive related to cell phones?
Yes.
And who provides those?
That would be the mobile carrier. So in this case, it's Verizon.
So someone like Verizon, AT&T, some company
Correct.
like that? And that is data that those companies, is that data that they keep for their own purposes?
Yes. So for billing purposes, they have call records for their subscribers. And for their own business purposes, they have specialized location records that is engineering data that they use to be able to make decisions on coverage, maybe where to put an antenna, how to orientate their antennas, or working on upgrading service in a certain area.
So Ms. Flaherty, you mentioned something called call detail records. What are those?
So call detailed records are similar to your phone bill. It shows calls incoming and outgoing. I'm able to see the date and time of the call, the numbers that are involved in the call. And if we are obtaining call detail records with cell site information, so tower information, then I see that unique number for the tower that's used during that event, along with what side of the tower, so the sector number.
So we'll have a visual in a bit that I think will explain the issue of the size of the tower. So you talked about call detail records. Are you familiar with something called RTT data?
I am.
What is RTT data?
That is the name for Verizon's specialized location records, or their engineering data. Basically, what that is it provides events when your phone is continuously interacting with the towers when it's on. The carrier's taking measurements of the speed of the signal from the tower to the device and back. And so when that measurement's taken, it gives an estimated distance of where that device is from the tower. So we're able to use that and kind of get a better idea of maybe where a device might be.
Oh, I'm
Ms.
sorry about
Flaherty,
that ween baby.
In your experience, do cell phone records or communication data also include something called subscriber information?
Yes.
And what is that generally?
That is the individual typically that is paying the bill and is subscribed to the phone, and oftentimes the user of the phone.
Ms. Flaherty, on March 1st of 2024, did you become involved in an investigation involving someone named Dustin Duren?
Yes, I did.
Could you please tell us when that happened that day and how you became involved?
I received a phone call from my team early morning hours, sometime between March 1st before 2:30 a.m. I received a phone call saying that they needed my assistance in initiating an exigency request for location data on a device that was associated with Mr. Duren.
Ms. Flaherty, I'm going to stop you there.
Sure.
I apologize. You mentioned exigency. What is exigency in
So-
your experience?
So exigency is a process that law enforcement is able to use in interacting with a carrier such as Verizon when there's an emergency and a concern for possible dangerous death or bodily harm.
Is exigency a process that's available when perhaps it's not practical to get a search warrant?
Yes, if it's deemed to be an emergency situation, yes.
So in the early morning hours of March 1st, 2024, you told us that you were asked to use the exigency process to do something. Can you tell us what you did?
Sure. So the first thing I did, which is required by Verizon, each carrier kind of has their own method that they want you to interact with. For Verizon, I initiated first calling their emergency hotline, told them the situation, and that I was looking for whether there was a current location on the phone number that I was given.
Okay, was that phone number 702-280-5090?
Yes, it was.
Guys
Is
in
that a
chat.
Verizon phone number?
Yes, it is.
So when you made that first call with Verizon, what happened?
So they told me that there was no current location on that phone, which indicated to me that that phone was most likely off and not connecting to the cellular network.
So you mentioned that the phone was off, Ms. Flaherty. What are the scenarios where a phone would stop communicating with the network?
If you turn your phone off, if the phone could be destroyed, if you're out of area where there's no signal, no data, then it's possible that it's not connecting to the cellular network.
So at that point, did you know which of those scenarios may have been the case with regard to this telephone?
I did not.
So after receiving that initial information from Verizon that the phone was not communicating, what did you do next?
So then I initiated their emergency disclosure form, which was a request to provide historical information on that device. So such as asking for the subscriber to just verify the ownership of that device, and then asking for historical call detail records, so those calls incoming and outgoing activity. Also requested the last known location of that device before it stopped communicating with their network. The request also was for that specialized location data and text detail.
When you mentioned
Imagine
that
how
specialized
busy that
location data,
department
you mean
is.
that
The
RTT
RTT, correct.
RTT data. So, again, what time in the morning is this that you submitted this form requesting all this other information?
So I spoke to Verizon around 2:30 a.m. and around 2:45, so 2:45 a.m. was when I submitted the form and received the results back about an hour later, I believe.
What were those results that you received?
So I actually received the historical information, the call detail records, everything that I had requested. They sent back via an email, and it covered the time period of February 29th, 2024 at midnight through March 1st at like 2:30 in the morning.
So roughly about the time.
About the time that I contacted them, yes.
Ms. Flaherty, you mentioned a number of records, including call detail records, subscriber information, and RTT data that were obtained early in the morning.
Yes,
Did the New Hampshire State Police later obtain those records again via a search warrant process?
they did, yes.
And was the data the same that was obtained?
Yes, it covered that time period in a larger time period.
So those records that you obtained through the search warrant that covered the same time period, did you review those records?
I did.
And
It's the power of brain, right? You guys.
I'm handing you something that's marked for identification at this point that states that Exhibit 13 is a thumb drive. Do you recognize that thumb drive?
I do.
Have you reviewed the contents of that thumb drive?
I have.
And what does that thumb drive contain?
This contains the historical call detail records, the subscriber record, and the RTT data that I used to create the visuals today.
So that is the data.
Visuals we don't get to
some of the
see.
data that you received by a search warrant and reviewed.
Yes,
And did you use the data on this thumb drive to create a series of maps?
yes, I did.
Well, this is going to be very hard for
Your
us.
Honor, at this point, the state moves to introduce Exhibit 13 as a full exhibit.
Annoying.
Certainly.
Oh, hold on. I'm going as fast as I can. I'm so sorry. I kind of forgot about that. I just remembered how annoying the white noise is. Sorry, guys. Sorry, friends. I'm going to try to be quicker. Oh, man. Well, this kind of sucks. We're going to be doing cell phones, and we're not going to be able to see anything. So she better not be up here forever. I'll be very annoyed and disappointed. I mean, I don't even know if this is very important to be like, yeah, he went away with the girls like 100-something miles, but okay. It's a full-size cup she's drinking from. Oh, but a very knowledgeable lady. Yeah, right? Like, why do they have such tiny little water cups up at the, like, those, when I was little anyway, we had those little paper cups from the dentist, for your mouthwash. Oh, goodness. Anywho, I forgot about this white noise thing. Yeah, I do not feel very great today, to be honest. Is it tiny or does she have big hands? That's a good question. Confusing perspective, maybe. Maybe so. All right, I did that. I feel like there was something else I was supposed to tell you guys today, and I can't remember what it is. It'll probably come to me later, so it does look like she's doing shots. I mean, she's not in Massachusetts, though, so just kidding. Not really. Tracy says, I don't think Verizon puts their text on the reports like other companies. I just want to know what she was texting about. Agreed. Agreed. I think you can, well, they would pull it from her phone. So I don't know if they just needed it to have like access to her phone, like a code to get in there. But that they would download through Celebrate. I don't think you really need the provider if you have the phone. Now, if you don't have the phone, then they'll need to get that for you. Though I think even if you had the phone, let's say they deleted stuff, you would still get the full one from the carrier too, because that happens. So I don't know. I know that it's not like trying to get stuff out of Apple. Apple is like, nope, you get nothing. Well, they do give out stuff. You just got to jump through a lot of hoops to get it, which is not. I'm all for that. All right. I'm all for that. But in some cases, it is kind of annoying, especially like, Terry does Midday Missing, and there's been a few missing people that I think she's covered that had iPhones and they weren't able to get anything from them because of it. So that's kind of sad. I feel like there was a couple of those. I do enjoy the 80s hair. It's true. That is true. But you know what? She's a busy lady with quite the resume. She does not give a fuck. Right? She's like, I'm former FBI. I had my own business. I know what's up. I nominate Buconnect to do a dramatic reading of the text. Well, see, now I'm wondering, after we looked through court records and stuff, if they'll even bring in the text, because if it talks about abuse.
Over the conditional objection as indicated during the bench, yes, the objection is overruled and the identification may be stricken and it shall be considered a full exhibit.
It's funny. Try turning it up some more. She talks loud, but the lawyer doesn't. Let's see how this goes.
May I approach her?
Please.
Ms. Flaherty, you told us that you used the data on the data series maps. I've handed you a number of documents. The first one is marked States Exhibit 12A for identification. Could you tell us what this is?
Yeah, this is a document that depicts two pictures of a cell tower, your traditional cell tower, with 3 sectors. It's just to demonstrate to the jury the tower and how the antennas are affixed to the tower and orientated.
So this relates to some of your testimony earlier about how the data that you receive involves which side of the cell tower?
Correct. Correct.
And if you can look at everything else, put that aside and look at the rest of those. What are those that you're looking at?
These are maps that I created to assist in showing the actual movement of the device on February 29th, 2024.
So when you say the device, do you mean the cell phone associated with
Uh,
data?
Yes, the 702 number.
Okay. The 702 number that you began receiving some of that data in the early morning hours of March 1st?
Yes,
And that's the same data that's on that thumb drive, Exhibit 13?
correct.
Okay. So you have Exhibits 12A, D, as in dog, E, F, H, I, J, K, and M.
Should be. They do not have the exhibit labels on them.
the back of it.
No.
Could be a little bit thicker.
Okay, yeah, and this one does. Yeah, this one didn't. Yes, you're correct. Sorry.
With the exception of A, the rest are maps that you created.
Yes, that's correct.
Can you tell us a little bit more about how you created those maps?
Sure. I had mentioned it a bit earlier. We obtained the data in spreadsheets from Verizon, Excel spreadsheets, and it's a large volume of data. So I enter that into a program by a company called Leads Online. It's called CellHawk. And it assists in doing that matching that I talked about as far as the unique tower number that's in the tower list. I upload that Verizon tower list and matching the tower that's used for each event. So whether that event is a call that takes place within the call detail records, or that event is one of those RTT events where it's actually capturing that estimated distance to tower in the engineering data. And so that helps me visualize and make these maps. And then for quality control, I mean, I look at the raw data, I look at the maps, and I make sure that it is correct.
So, Ms. Flaherty, you mentioned that this data that you use to create these maps includes events, and that a certain event could be something like a phone call. Is that
Yes, yep, so calls, or I typically call an event if it happens to be like an RTT engineering data, date and time event.
I want to ask you about that. When you say that there's an event that is, related to RTT or engineering data, is the phone making a call or sending a text message at that point?
Not necessarily. RTT can be captured when the phone's being used, but it's when your phone is continuously interacting with the network and the carrier is actually capturing and measuring that, like I said, that signal speed, so that they can make some decisions when they look at that data for their own business process.
So would it be fair to say that as long as the phone is on, it may be communicating with the cell phone tower?
Correct.
And that is regardless of whether it happens to be in use for a call or a text or something like that?
As long as it's on and the data is available, yes.
And
Attorney
you mentioned-
Spicer?
Yes.
Sorry to interrupt. Can the witness identify the program that was used? Again, I didn't,
Yes.
if there's the spelling of that program?
Sure, it's Cellhawk, CELLHAWK.
Okay, thank you.
Cellhawk, I've never heard of that before.
Ms. Flaherty, you mentioned that you check these maps for quality control. How do you do that?
By looking at the raw data and knowing, understanding the sectors and side of the tower, and then making sure that appears accurate. And I also, spot check the lat and longs and make sure that that maps correctly.
You said lat and long. Does the raw data that you review that's on Exhibit 13 include latitude and longitude information?
No, the cell site list from the phone company, from Verizon, when they give me the master list of their cell towers, it has the latitude and the longitude for each unique number.
Does the data that you reviewed include latitude and longitude information?
In the in the RTT and the call detail, I believe they have their separate list underneath, yes.
And so you use essentially the latitude and the longitude associated with those events and the timing to help place that phone?
The latitude and longitude of the tower that's in the tower list that's provided in that data is not necessarily in the row of the event, is the latitude and longitude, just the unique number match is how we get there.
And so you did all these quality control and spot checks with regard to the maps that you had here today?
I did.
Your Honor, at this point, the state moves to introduce exhibits 12A, D, E, F, H, I, J, K, and M as full exhibits.
No objection.
The identification may be stricken with respect to those specific exhibits, and they shall be considered as full exhibits.
Ms. Flaherty, you should have a screen right there.
Excuse me. I'm very
Showing you
stuffy
what's now
today.
marked for, as a full exhibit, states 12A. Can you tell us what this is?
So this is a picture of your traditional cell site or cell tower. Like I said, you can have antennas. You'll see here where the
Everyone
arrows
on
are
the back of the
pointing,
TV
those
for us.
boxes that set some antennas. And so on each side of the tower, you can see it's kind of like a triangle on this particular tower. It's a 3-sector tower. And so there's
Oh, yeah.
sets of antennas on there.
Usually do
Each of those
location
towers, like I said, has a unique ID number. And that's where your phone, in order to be able to send, receive a call, use your data plan, text messages, you're going to be attaching to an antenna that's mounted on a tower.
And when you mentioned different sides of the tower, this one has 3, correct?
This one has 3, yes.
And how do you use that information on which of those, in this example, 3 towers, when it comes to determining a location?
So So in the records, there'll be a column for like a sector, and it'll have a number, like a 1, 2, or 3. If it's like a 3G, you'll see actual sector. If it's an LTE, they're called an E-node-B number, and that'll be part of that number will have the sector, and that tells you what side.
So using the side and some of the other data you mentioned, you're able to help.
Tell which side of the tower, yes.
Ms. Farley, I'm showing you states Exhibit 12D. You see this?
I do.
So this is one of the maps you created. Could you please tell us what you're looking at?
So first, just to draw your eye to the red oval, it has a 1063. That's marking 1063 Main Street, it's the address there. And what we have, all these maps are for the 702 phone number device. And the device is attached to the northern tower from that address. You can see, if you look at where it says 538 to the north.
Ms. Farley, perhaps it would be better if you could come down.
Can I? That'd be
Yes, please.
fantastic. Thank you.
I'm just happy we get to see stuff today.
Well, we step right up to this large screen in front of you.
It would have been nice to have seen some of the inside of the house
And
yesterday.
continue, you were explaining this map.
But
So,
I like how they jerry-rigged it up there. They just got to like tape around the.
oh, thank you. Won't go any further? Okay, I will speak loudly so I can actually maybe point. Okay. So here we have a marker for an address, 1063 Main Street. And here, when I'm talking about that tower I showed you, that picture of a tower, so this orange circle represents that location of a tower. And
like the
this
defense
red
attorney's blazer.
here is
That
what
green.
just highlights for me the side of the tower that's being used by the device. So it doesn't necessarily mean that the device is in this dark circle here at all. It's just to kind of draw your eye to the side of the tower visually. But what it is saying is that that device is somewhere on the side of this tower. I know confidently that it's not up here, because radio waves are not a pie shaped. You know, this is just a visual. That device could be a little bit over here or over here when we're looking at the data. These arcs, it represents that estimated distance from the tower that I talked about that I get from the RTT data. It maps an arc, and it basically, as the phone is communicating back and forth with the tower, these arcs are represented. And when you have a lot of lines and it gets darker, it just sits there a long time, you're gonna get a lot of hits when you know the phone is stationary. So that gives me that indication. So here what we have is the device is connecting to this side of the tower at 538. It's somewhere along this arc at that time. I can't say 100% where it is along this arc, but I can confidently say that it's somewhere along this arc. Okay?
Ms. Farley, just to.
You're right, it wouldn't be fair.
This map depicts which tower this particular cell phone was communicating at about 5:38 p.m.
Correct,
And that's
I think
on
it's
September
his
29th,
phone.
2024.
correct.
And this map is showing the city of Berlin, New Hampshire.
Yes, it is.
And so those arcs that you mentioned are the estimated distance from the tower. So as you mentioned, correct me if I'm wrong, that phone could be anywhere on that arc.
That is correct.
And you marked 1063. Is that 1063 Main Street in Berlin?
Yes, it is.
And does that appear to be sitting right on one of those arcs?
It is. Yeah.
There's another tower beneath that. Can you talk about that, please?
Sure. So then looking at movement, I look and you see that 538, we have the device connected to this tower. And by 557.06, it is now connected down here to this tower on this side, and there are the arcs. That indicates to me a change in tower usage and most likely movement. Okay, so that's how I start to be able to decipher that.
So what time was the phone communicating with that?
And down in Berlin tower is 557.06.
And that tower appears to be more in the center of Berlin?
Yes.
And the next one, if you can stay up there. This is State's Exhibit 12F. What are we looking at here?
We're looking at the same device, all the maps are for the same device. So once again, taking off those estimated distance to tower because it gets really busy, you know, and a lot of lines and circles. So just to simplify it, this is still that engineering data while the phone is moving, but it's just showing you the tower usage and the side of the tower, just removing those lines so it's not so busy. And so
Right.
when we started with 538 up here north of Main Street, and then on that previous map, I'd shown you where it was connecting to this side at 557. You can see it, then it kind of swings around, it's here, and the device then is connecting to a tower down here more towards the Gorham area at 626. After that, I noticed that there is actually a connection over east on Route 2, heading towards the Bethel, Maine area. So around from 643 to 658, the device needs to stay connected over east when it travels.
Mrs. Flaherty, are you familiar with the area shown in this map, the Gorham area?
I am.
And so this map shows connection to a tower at 6:26 p.m., and then another tower further east, several minutes later, 6:43 to 6:58. Is that about consistent with the amount of time it takes to drive on Route 2?
In my experience, that's about a 15, 20-minute drive.
You're now looking at States 12E. Please tell us what you see in this, or what this map shows.
So just to continue to orient you, we've moved down.
Camera guy, I don't need to see the
to
lawyers.
626.
You
This
can
was
just stay
over
on there.
at that time on east on Route 2. And then instead of putting, there's no times, that moves along. And by 729, you can see that the device has moved along, and by 729, it's connected to tower in Whitefield. So it came back around and started to go south. So by 737, the device is connected to a tower down here in Carroll. And then coming further west, you can see they continue down, and by 745, that device is using a tower on 93 South in the Franconia area.
Thank you. This is States 12H. Ms. Flaherty, could you again tell us what the map shows?
Sure. On the left, if 93 is so long, you'll see this is a section of 93. So on the left, we had originally been in Franconia on the previous map, and you can see the device continues to use towers along 93 South, Woodstock, moving forward by 808. It's down here in like the Thornton Campton area, and continuing south using towers at 813. It's down even further south in
Is that
Plymouth.
Plymouth area?
Mhm.
So now moving to the right side of the screen, there's another map. What does
So
that show?
thinking about 93, continuing down, here we have it now 827 in New Hampton, and moving along the different towers, continuing to come down, and by 850, that device starts to use various towers in the Concord area between 850 and 1022.
So where do you want to go?
So,
Sorry, Ms. Flaherty, this is 12I for the record. What does this map show?
okay, so now we're back to kind of looking at those estimated distance to tower. Here it was taking a look at the data to see is there any areas once the device got into Concord that maybe it had stopped for a period of time. Thinking at this whole time, the goal is looking for, you know, the device, the children and Mr. Duren. So at this time, this map shows the device kind of hitting for a period of time, about 852 to 903, and this is a 903 down here, about 852 to 902, you can see this arc hitting. It's in this general area for those few minutes, is what I would be able to discern from this. And that's on North Main Street in Concord.
Ms. Flaherty, there's a red logo with a white S on it. What is that?
That's a speedway, so is a reference of there's a possibility of a place that's kind of where the lines cross. There was this speedway there.
And Speedway is a gas station?
Yes, it is.
And so time frame does this map cover?
So this covers from the north, we're around 9 to 9 o'clock, and you can see down, it comes, this is 9:01, but the estimated distance is way down here. So it's 9 o'clock to about 9:03. Here it's 8:56. So the total time would be about 8:52 to 9:03.
Looking now at State's Exhibit 12J, please tell us, first of all, where this is and what it shows.
So this is still in Concord. It's now on South Main Street. This was another location where I had indicated that it appeared that the device may have stayed for a period of time. Just north was that 9:03 that you saw in the previous map. By 9:06, it was here until 9:28. So this is what we would call an omni tower. That's why you have a circle. So basically, that's a one-sided tower where the antennas can cover the 360 degrees rather than a three-sector tower where each sector covers about 120 degrees.
So, Ms. Flaherty, does this tower show essentially that from about, you said 9:06 to?
About 9:28, it was in that general area.
Phones in this general, and this is south of where we were
Yes.
previously?
Yep, still moving south.
South in the city of Concord, New Hampshire?
Yes.
So this is State's 12K. First, could you tell us what this map shows in terms of location and time?
So this is still in Concord, now in the vicinity of between South Main Street and Hall Street. This is also RTT data, but without the lines, because the device sat here for a period of time. It was extremely busy to show all of the lines. So basically from 9:58 to 10:22, that device was connected to this tower here, the 61909 tower near South Main Street, and had about 27, those RTT, I call them events, right? So 27 hits, so it was stationary there for a period of time. While there, it was bouncing off of this Omni tower between 10:05 and 10:15.
So, Ms. Flaherty, again, could you tell us the time frame of when that phone was connected?
This would
to
be
tower?
9:58 to 10:22.
And is this location Concord further south?
Yes, it is.
Ms. Flaherty, on the left side of this map, there's a red box with some information. What does that information tell you?
So in looking at the call detail records, there was a call while this device was connected to this tower. So this information is coming from the call detail records, echo call activity, that matched up with the usage of this 61909 tower for sector 2. You can see that last number is a 2, that's the sector number. And so this would be an outgoing call from the 702 number to a 763 number. That was at 10:08 p.m. while the device was in this area, and that call lasted 13 minutes and 36 seconds.
So that call was listed 10:08,
Yes, it was.
and was that an outgoing call from that 702 phone number?
It was.
Could you read us that number?
So the call number was a 763-350-0954.
And the number that made the call, what number
Was
was that?
this 702-280-5900.
And that 702 number that made the call, is that the number associated with the phone? and also-
Yes, it is. It's the number that is connected to this tower.
How long did that call last?
13 minutes and 36 seconds.
And this is the last one. Ms. Flaherty, can you tell us what we're looking at here?
So this here is RTT data. This is from the raw data, just to show you, this is the last actual event on that device before it went off. And it matches the time that we have received from the phone company as to the time that the last location for the device, which is the morning of, or the evening of February 29th, 2024 at 10:22:30 p.m.
So 10:22 p.m. on February 29th, this phone, that 702 number, stopped communicating with cell phone?
It did.
I think they always, the cell phone charts always look like this. That means
Thank
we're
you, Ms.
almost
Flaherty.
through.
Stating no more questions.
Oh,
Okay.
look at that.
All right, thank you. Counsel.
Oh, oh. They're going to the bench. I saved everybody's lives. You're welcome. Who is that guy? Oh, I think he just works at the courthouse. I think he has a sheriff's badge, if I remember right. Apparently they don't need that anymore. That's weird. Oh, they're headed away.
Okay, members of the jury, we're going to take a 10-minute break right now to allow counsel to deal with.
You didn't have to get rid of it yet. Okay.
But we will take a 10-minute break right now. So why don't we say 10:15? We'll resume at 10:15. Okay. Again, please do not discuss the case amongst yourselves. All right. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Your Honor. Appreciate you. So, while we have this little break, let's read some shit, huh? Sounds great. All right. Make sure they're not going to play any music. I don't want to mess with that one. All right, they're good. All right. So, while we're waiting for them to come back, we can get into this. I know, right? The Fade to Black. I've never seen them do that before, but okay. Oh. Anyway, all right. So, like I said, last night I went through a bunch of the court documents on this case, and this one was just filed in September 17th. Another interesting thing that I didn't explain earlier was that Dustin was initially charged with first-degree murder and second-degree murder, right? So he's charged with that first, indicted by the grand jury. Then the judge, I don't know if it's this judge, one of the judges, struck down the indictment without prejudice, right? So then a month later, the state goes back, they get another indictment for first degree murder, but then they take first degree murder off the table, which means they didn't have a case for it. So I thought that was interesting. And this was like well after, like since December of this year or something like that. So I thought that was interesting. But this document is the state's motion in limine excluding testimony from Aunt Brenda Plamondon and Shannon Spurgeon, right? Because I'm pretty sure they're not going to be asked to go to trial, and you will see why. All right. Sorry, I am so like, oh, it's fall time. All right. So now it says, now comes the state of New Hampshire by and through its attorneys, the Office of the Attorney General. Hold on, I'm going to make this a little bit bigger for you all, for all of us. And then I don't have to look at this screen over here. There we go. All right. Oh, but that's not how that works, Llama. Okay. They respectfully moves this honorable court to exclude testimony from Brenda Plamondon and or Shannon Spurgeon as a relevant hearsay. So this is the state saying we're gonna need we can't hear what they have to say about this stuff. All right, let's exclude them. Now, if the court allows this testimony and the defense seeks to admit it, additional testimony related to the victim's fear of the defendant, including statements about his past assaultive behavior, must be admitted for completeness and under the open the door doctrine. In support of this pleading, the state submits the following. All right, so this is more of like, well, if we're gonna, okay. All right. Where's my little mouse? There it is. All right. So facts and procedural history. The defendant is charged with alternative charges of knowing second-degree murder and reckless second-degree murder for killing Caitlyn Naffziger on February 29th, 2024 in Berlin, New Hampshire. The defendant is further charged with reckless conduct with a deadly weapon and child endangerment related to his actions in the homicide. I mean, remember, he was holding the 4-year-old while he shot the mother in the head. Now, on February 29th, 2024, the defendant killed Caitlyn by shooting her in the head inside of his apartment in Berlin, New Hampshire. At the time that the defendant killed Miss Naffziger, they had 2 children in common. those children, E, age 4, and V, age 1, were present in the apartment at the time of the murder. You thought they were talking about man Shannon. During the investigation into her death, investigators spoke to Miss Naffzinger's aunt, Brenda, and to Shannon Spurgeon. Miss Spurgeon works with Brenda and has known Caitlyn for several years. It has recently come to the state's attention that the defendant has subpoenaed both of these individuals to testify at trial in this matter. Oh, I keep forgetting my things over here. In an interview with the New Hampshire State Police, Brenda stated that in mid to late February 2024, Caitlyn told her that she and V were going to fly from Minnesota to visit the defendant and E in Berlin, New Hampshire. Arrangements were subsequently made for Miss Naffziger to stay with Brenda in Hampton, New Hampshire. On February 27, 2025, well, that would be 2024, but whatever. Caitlyn and V flew to Boston Logan Airport and took a bus to Seabrook, New Hampshire. Miss Spurgeon, Shannon, picked them up at the bus station and drove them to Brenda's house where they spent the night. According to both Brenda and Shannon, that night, Caitlyn told them that she had not been okay with the defendant taking E with him when he moved to New Hampshire from Minnesota, but was afraid to tell him. Oh, this is where it is. Before we go on to the next page, see this footnote right there? 2, there's no formal custody agreement related to the custody of the children. So there's that. Caitlyn expressed that she was afraid of the defendant and that he had previously hurt and strangled her. She also stated that there had been multiple incidences between her and the defendant regarding custody of the 2 children, including where the defendant had refused to return the children to her care. Oh, really, Dustin? Oh, so you were kidnapping them. Okay. According to Brenda, Caitlyn told the defendant she was coming to New Hampshire to visit, but actually planned to take custody of E and return to Minnesota with both children. Caitlyn told Brenda that her plans was to leave with the girls while the defendant was asleep. And remember, he kills her at about 5:30 in the afternoon, evening, if I remember right, around 5:30, somewhere around there. Let's see. Brenda and Shannon told detectives that they offered to help Caitlyn regain custody of her oldest daughter by driving her and V halfway to Berlin to a restaurant in Ossipee. That's a funny name for a town, where the defendant and Caitlyn had agreed to meet. I'll be honest, I don't understand why they just didn't get the police involved at this point. I mean, and if you're that concerned, why halfway? But you know what, whatever, this is part of their plan. I'm just saying, she could have easily been like, yo, he has my daughter, I have custody, so let's do something about it. Now, Brenda and Shannon drove Caitlyn and V to the restaurant and dropped them off in the parking lot. Caitlyn asked them not to go inside and expressed concern that the defendant, who did not know Shannon, might be spooked by her presence. Caitlyn told them not to call or text her because the defendant might watch her phone. Which we do know somebody was texting her, and that freaked him out, apparently. Let's see. Brenda said that they all agreed on a code word that Caitlyn could use if she felt unsafe and needed to get out of Berlin fast. If Caitlyn did not call them by Sunday, March 2nd, Brenda and Shannon planned to drive to Berlin to meet Caitlyn at a local restaurant. Brenda and Shannon did not see the defendant while they were in the parking lot. They watched Caitlyn and V enter the restaurant, and then they returned to Hampton, New Hampshire without them. They never saw or heard from Caitlyn again. There's my little thing there. On June 13th, 2024, Brenda was interviewed by the defense investigator, Arthur Boutin. At the time, she provided information consistent with her prior statement to investigators. including that Caitlyn discussed her fear of the defendant, his prior abuse of her, mental and physical, and that she was afraid to tell him that he could not bring E to New Hampshire. During that interview, Brenda stated that when they arrived at the place where Caitlyn arranged to meet the defendant was not there. So they dropped Caitlyn off with the baby and left. I don't know how he thought she was getting there, but okay. The defendant, in a post-arrest interview, told detectives that he and E were waiting at the restaurant and that he never even saw Brenda. Caitlyn just dropped off. The context of the interview made it clear that the defendant never saw Brenda, was unaware that Shannon was present, and did not communicate with either of them. During his interview, the defendant stated that on February 29th, 2024, Caitlyn refused to leave his apartment despite his repeated requests for her to leave. He said that at some point, Caitlyn told him, "I'm going to take the kids away from you. I'm going to call the cops. I'm going to get you arrested." Doesn't sound like kidnapping to me. Sounds like you didn't want her calling damn cops because you knew they would take the kid away because you didn't have any custody of it. Her. Didn't mean to call the kids it. But that is what Dustin said in his interview. Does that sound like kidnapping? That he thought kidnapping was going to happen? I mean, sure, taking the kids away from you, that's not kidnapping when she has custody. Also, she's refusing to leave. I would think the kidnapping would be out taking them away, not refusing to leave the house and saying that she's going to call the cops and get you arrested because you're not giving her what's rightfully, legally hers at the time. Yeah, I know, right? I mean, I think that's why he was so quick to shoot her too. And then, okay, fine. You want to say self-defense? Then you just have to remove you and your daughters from the situation at a safe enough distance and then call 911 or something. But he didn't do that. No. He called his mom, who lived in Minnesota, and then he turns his phone off at 10 and fucks off and drives to New York and then decides he's going to turn himself back in, but they find him like 130 miles away. Doesn't seem like self-defense to me, but okay. All right. So here's the argument for these, and we probably won't get through all this by the time they come back, but that's really the main part of this whole thing that I wanted to share with you. So the argument, this court should exclude the testimony of both Brenda and Shannon because it is hearsay, because it is irrelevant, and because of the significant risk that this testimony could cause unfair prejudice and or mislead or confuse the jury. But simply testimony from Brenda and Shannon about the out-of-court statements of Caitlyn are irrelevant where the evidence clearly establishes that the defendant was aware of those statements. Now, I think it's important to know that they're not, believe me, they definitely would want to put Brenda and Shannon on the stand, right? But the defense's theory is kidnapping, right? That they had this plan. So they're like, you know what? Fine. We're going to strike all this, including the abuse part. We don't even need any of them in if that's what you're going to use because yours doesn't, work out. And then the defense is like, you can't say anything about the abuse stuff. So that's why they're arguing it. I mean, trust me, the prosecution would use it. All right. But, Angie says, was it their house or his or hers? It's his apartment house that they were at. So, because she was eventually supposed to move to New Hampshire and they were going to live separately, not together, from my understanding of the situation. So this little cliff note down here, because it does look like I see the camera moving a lot. The defendant may argue that this testimony is needed as all proofs favorable or otherwise to put forth his defense of others to stop a kidnapping or attempted kidnapping. However, any plan or action of Caitlyn made to regain custody of E would not amount to a kidnapping under New Hampshire law. The defendant does not have a right to seek irrelevant or confusing evidence, for such evidence is non-competent favorable proof. Okay, I see the court is around. They're not making any noise yet, but we'll just switch there just in case. Don't have sound. There we go. So I just wanted to share that was really the main part of the argument. There's more. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry, you guys. All right, well, we're waiting for that. If this court allows testimony from Brenda and or Shannon as to Caitlyn's statements about any plan to regain custody of E, the state should then be allowed to question them regarding the entirety of Caitlyn's statements, including those which form the reasoning behind such plan. Like, oh, okay, well then we should be able to ask them about the abuse, right? This testimony would include her statements that she feared the defendant and had been abused by him in the past. These statements would be admissible under both the doctrine of completeness and the opening the door doctrine to prevent the defense from obtaining a misleading advantage. So the prosecution, by the way, is just waiting because they had already filed open the door motion that I think was granted by the judge, if I remember right, where they're not going to bring anything up unless, oh wait, no, I know what his ruling was on that. They're not going to bring anything up unless the defense opens the door. And I'm pretty sure the judge was like, well, I'm not going to rule on it. We'll just wait to see what happens. And then we can talk about it. But that is the state's plan. And I don't know how the defense gets around this. They seem like they're going full force into this whole kidnapping thing, right? We'll see. We'll see.
Lewis County's vehicle in session.
Exactly.
The Honorable Jonathan S. Frizell presiding.
Exactly, Pilot. We saw pictures of her yesterday. She was a very tiny person. She had no weapon. As a matter of fact, she was just lounging on the couch.
Thank you. Please be seated. And Ms. Flair, you're still in row.
He lived with his parents, and
Okay,
she lived with a friend, and they would trade the girls on
Good
it.
morning.
But
So as part of your investigation, you received records first from Verizon through the exigency process, correct?
That is correct.
And then later on, you received records from the search warrant?
That is correct.
And the search warrant records did include a longer duration of time, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so the first records were only February 29th to March 1st, less than 24.
Less than 24 hours, correct.
Okay. And the second set were about a month or?
That is correct, yes.
And when you received the records from the search warrant, you reviewed all of those, correct?
I reviewed the records I needed to for location data.
Okay, and can I approach Your Honor with Defendant's Exhibit B for ID only?
Certainly.
Showing you what's been marked at Defense B for ID.
Right.
Does that look like the records that you received from Verizon?
That is, yes, that's, let me scroll down. I just want to,
Yes.
thank you. Yes.
Okay,
Yep.
it's quite
I
a
want-
bunch.
It is a lot of records, yes.
To include the device that we're talking about, the 702 number 5900 ending phone call records, correct?
Yes, yes, the historical call detail records, correct.
And text messages, correct?
There was content and text detail, which is just the numbers that are texting back and forth, correct.
Your Honor, may we approach?
we not hearing the, like, I had to go to the bathroom and I got some coffee and I saw it's just her and I was like, no, no, not the white noise. Maybe the camera guy is learning. He's like, you know what? I know that llama has to go to the bathroom a lot because she's a 40-year-old woman. I'm going to get rid of the static noises. So thanks, camera guy. Appreciate you. I don't know. That's what I think. Yeah. So when they lived in Minnesota, he lived with his parents. She lived with a friend.
So, Ms. Flaherty, you reviewed some of the records. Did you review the any of the SMS content records in your analysis?
So not in my analysis, no. I did note that there was SMS content provided. It's not always provided. I noted that verbally to my team, that it was available. My focus was on location.
Okay. And when you noted it was provided, did you open it up and look at it, or did you just see the headline on the?
I opened it up to make sure that there was actually content visible, that it was there, yes.
Ooh, I like her shirt. I do. That's a nice shirt.
This spreadsheet, let me go back for a second on my
Hey, look how cute that
photo
is.
here.
Love that. Good morning, Terry.
This preserved redacted SMS content spreadsheet is the document that you opened and looked at to confirm there was SMS.
Content available, yes. If you go to the right, that's where you should see content. Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Your Honor, may we approach?
Oh. Is he going to do it for us again? Thank you, camera audio guy. You're probably not listening to Couch Core with Llama, but if you are, we appreciate you very, very much. All that you've done for us, camera guy, or audio guy. Maybe there's two of you, maybe it's one. Putting up the monitor for us, muting the white noise. We stand for him. What was I saying before that though? So they did live in Vegas before they went back to Minnesota. And in some of the documents too, it talks about that the reason that they left Las Vegas was because of abuse as well. And that his dad and her dad had to break them up a few times. I'm pretty sure it was both dads. So it was not even a secret, it sounds like, from some of the documents that I read. So we'll see. Let me see if there's anything else in this document to read. Oh, and by the way, like they did not claim that they were going to use this defense, I think, until like last December. And this happened, end of February, beginning of March. If I remember right. I read a lot of documents last night, so let's see. Is there anything else in this one? No. All right, where's my little cheat sheet list? There we go. Go back in front of the grand jury. You got another second-degree murder indictment. Okay, so here is one of the defendants' motion in limine about the 404B, about the abuse, right? We can do this while they're talking. Right, so this is here we all are, blah, blah, blah. The evidence is barred by the New Hampshire Rules of Evidence 403 and 404. In support of this request, the defendant submits the following. This is stuff they don't want talked about, okay? So it talks about what he is, blah, 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 blah. All right. Specifically, the defendant moves to exclude from trial Caitlyn's statements to the Anoka County Sheriff's Department that she would not give Duren her home address due to safety concerns. That's in Minnesota, I believe. Anoka County. I think that's their Minnesota County. So she actually, when she was there, she did not want him to know where she lived. So, yikes. Timothy Smith's statements that he felt Duren tried to isolate Caitlyn from her family. I do not know who Timothy Smith is. Aunt Brenda's statement that her daughter Annie told her a story that one time Duren got physical and pulled on Caitlyn, with Dustin's father having to pull Duren off of Caitlyn. That's right. His dad had to pull him off of her. Aunt Brenda's statement that Caitlyn told her she was afraid of Duren, that he had hurt her before, and that he had strangled her before. Brenda's statement that Caitlyn agreed to allow Duren to take their minor child E because Caitlyn was afraid of him. Sarah Hill's statement that Duren pushed Caitlyn and bruised her back. Shannon's statement that she believed that things between Caitlyn and Duren turned physical when they lived in Las Vegas. Robert's statement that he was aware of an incident when Duren restrained Naffziger. Tyler Johnson's statement that he had known Duren was physically abusive to Caitlyn to the point where Caitlyn's father had to split them up on several occasions, and any other claims or assertions of abuse. Ugh. So that's not great. We see why he definitely wants that out. But those are the exact things the prosecution is geared up for should him or his team open the door to any of those. Which, again, I don't see how they cannot open it up. So those are just some interesting things. The judge's ruling on that was, we'll see what happens, I guess. So, yes, October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Prayers for all those affected. Yes, there is help out there. It's not too late. It's not. There's lots of things that can help you, because I'd hate to see situations like this. Unfortunately, it happens a lot. There you go. Thank you, Angie, for doing that for us. If you or someone you know is experiencing domestic violence, you're not alone. Text BEGIN to 88788 or call the 24/7 National Domestic Hotline at 1-800-799-7233. Help is always
Sorry to
available.
confirm, the documents that you received from Verizon through the search warrant request included, amongst other things, SMS content.
That is correct.
And SMS is text messages?
Yes, it's short message service, yes, text messages.
Okay, and you did open up the file to confirm,
To make sure it was populated, and then I let my team know, yes.
okay, populated meaning,
Meaning that there was actual content. Sometimes they say no results, but I wanted to make sure that there was actually something there.
okay, thank you. I would like to show you what's on the state's exhibit. I have your number. 13.
Yes, prayers and strength for anyone dealing with it, for sure. It's also Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Send all your love and support to Kelly P. #Team Thirsty. And to all of the other survivors that are in our chat. I know there's many of you.
Miss Flaherty step down to the screen, the large screen.
I can just see what we're publishing.
Certainly. So 13 is a full exhibit, and you've confirmed what you're going to publish?
Yes.
Okay, all right, certainly. Thank you.
Are we going back to the screen? Oh, there's that clock again.
Can you see the highlighted row right there? Okay, and it's 46, yes, line 46, and it shows you that the cell phone 702-280-5900, the cell phone that we have been talking about there.
Can't see anything.
Dialed 603-752-3131 on February 14th, 2024.
On the 14th, yes.
Okay, thank you.
That was it? All that? Okay. I like the judge's face over there. Why do we just do that? Okay.
Okay, I have no more questions, thank you.
Peter, okay, can Ms. Flaherty be excused?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Thanks, Tracy. You did great. Have a good day. Sure, Pam says, I've noticed the defendant sure does look looks way different than earlier images from when he was arrested. Yeah. Were you calling? Oh, shit, I missed it. Farts. Love that hinge. Looks like law enforcement.
Sir, could you raise your right hand? You swear that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth under the pain and penalty of perjury?
I do.
Thank you. Please have a seat. May I inquire, Your Honor?
Yes.
Sir, could you please tell us your name and spell your last name for the record?
Justin Rowe, R-O-W-E.
Sir, where do you work?
I'm employed as a detective sergeant with the New Hampshire State Police.
How long have you been with the New Hampshire State Police?
25 years.
What unit of the state police are you currently assigned to?
The Major Crime Unit.
Just generally speaking, what does the major crimes unit do?
You're not on the-
We primarily investigate death investigations, homicide investigations.
Sergeant Rowe, I'd like to ask you, what is an Amber Alert?
An Amber Alert is a emergency alert that law enforcement can issue when we fear for the safety of a child.
So fair to say that an Amber Alert relates to emergency situations?
Yes, it goes out through the emergency alert systems.
So when an Amber Alert is activated, we'll talk more about that, what happens, generally speaking?
Hi, Liz.
Initially, the call is vetted out by law enforcement. There's usually a request by law enforcement to issue that. Once that criteria is met, there's paperwork that's prepared, and then it goes out through the New Hampshire State Police Communications, through the WIA, the Wireless Emergency Alert System. There's also a press release that goes out. We also partner with New Hampshire Lottery, New Hampshire
our audio's
DOT
messed up.
for the messages that go out. You'll see the signboards on the highways. So you know, it's kind of a group effort to get the information of the child and the suspect vehicle out to the
See if I pause it.
public.
Sergeant,
I'll
you
fix it.
mentioned boards on the side of the highway, you mentioned the press release, you mentioned the lottery. Does an Amber Alert also get distributed to your text messages?
Yes, if the subscriber has it set to that, yes.
Okay, nope, it's their problem.
And then
Okay.
just generally speaking, when an Amber Alert goes out by a text message, what happens?
Again, it's through the wireless emergency system, so it goes out from our state police headquarters as the communications software. Once it gets pushed out through that, it goes to various cell phone towers or companies. And it's really at their discretion of how those individual companies distribute that. And again, how the end user, everybody can kind of have their phone set to different priorities.
In the state of New Hampshire, who can authorize an Amber Alert?
The New Hampshire State Police.
So if a local police department encounters a situation that they may believe warrants an Amber Alert, what do they do?
They'll contact the State Police Communication Unit requesting that, and we have state police detectives that are trained in that, and we're on call, and we would respond, and we'll, you know, reach out to that requesting department.
Are you one of those individuals with the state police who is trained to respond to these situations?
Yes,
And do you have the authority to authorize an Amber Alert?
I do.
And that relates to the state of New Hampshire?
Yes.
Sergeant, in the early morning hours of March 1st, 2024, did you receive some information related to an Amber Alert request?
I did.
Could you tell us what that was?
So the State Police Major Crime was responding already up to the Berlin Police Department for a death investigation. The lead investigator, Sergeant Mallory Littman, telephoned me, so she was the actual, she was also on call to be the responding detective for the homicide, suspected homicide. But she was also at the time the on-call Amber Alert coordinator for that, so she asked my assistance in taking that piece from her so she could focus on the initial investigation.
What information did you receive about the situation happening in Berlin?
So I was informed that the Berlin Police Department had received some information of that there might have been a shooting victim in their city. They responded, found a deceased female alone in a residence. I was informed that the 2 children and a boyfriend were not accounted for, and the boyfriend's vehicle was unaccounted for.
Were you told the name of the boyfriend?
Yes,
What was the name?
Dustin Duren.
Did you receive any information about the vehicle associated with Dustin Duren?
I did.
What information was that?
I received the plate number and the make and model of the vehicle.
What were those?
It was I believe a 2017 Subaru Impreza, color white. It had New Hampshire veteran plates, V as in Victor 69023.
After receiving that information about the situation and about the defendant, Mr. Duren and his vehicle, did you also receive some information relating to the 2 children, including your names?
Yes, I did.
Were those Elowen and Valen?
Correct.
After receiving all that information, did you authorize an Amber Alert?
I did.
And about what time did you authorize that Amber Alert?
It was broadcasted, I believe, at 3:46 a.m.
Was that 3:46 a.m. on March 1st, 2024?
Yes,
Did that Amber Alert go out via text message as well as those other means that you've mentioned?
I believe so, yes.
And what did that Amber Alert contain? What information?
So it had the Mr. Duren's information, his vehicle information. It had the information of the 2 children, their ages. We had photographs of Mr. Duren, the 2 children that were attached with that as well.
Thank you. I have no more questions.
How can they determine what's relevant and what's not? That's interesting.
Okay. Can Detective Sergeant Rowe be excused?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep, thank you, sir.
Carolyn Campbell. All right, who are you, Carolyn Campbell? You're not there. Oh, she's a civilian witness. Ooh, who is this?
You can walk right over to this witness stand here, please be careful of all the wires.
Maybe she's his neighbor or something.
Remain standing by that chair, okay?
Look at her. I like her shirt. That's lovely.
Ms. Campbell, could you raise your right hand for me? Do you swear today that the testimony that you're about to give is the truth under pains and penalties of perjury?
Yes.
Thank you. You may be seated.
Looking good, Carolyn. Looking good. Oh, Liz, thank you for becoming a member again.
Ms. Campbell, you're
Congrats.
actually
Thank you so
a
much.
and a picture next to you if you do decide that you need some. okay?
Appreciate your
If
support.
You can just make sure I'm going to do the same, that microphone is a little bit closer to you so that it can be picked up. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Now, Ms. Campbell, could you please state your name for the record? I know I've said it, but we need to have you go ahead and say it. And if you could spell your last name?
Carolyn Campbell, Campbell.
Thank you. Ms. Campbell, are you currently employed?
Yes, I am.
In what capacity are you employed?
I work at a fire department as an administrative assistant.
Okay. Now, I want to draw your attention to a specific date and time. So I want to ask you, on March the 1st of 2024, so last year, March, on that date, did you become aware of an Amber Alert?
Yes, I got woken up to it in the morning.
How'd you get woken up?
My phone just started making noises I have never heard, and I saw it. I did go back to
Saw
sleep
it.
for a little bit.
That's
Did
an
you have
accent. That's
plans
fun.
for March the 1st of 2024?
Yes, I did. I was going to meet my daughter down in Keene to take a trip up to Vermont to a previous job of hers to drop stuff off.
Okay. Now, you, at the time, were you living near Keene?
About 50 minutes away.
Okay. So at some point that morning, you left your home and you traveled to see your daughter?
Yes.
It was her job, but I think she spotted the
Yes.
the car and
And
called it in.
It's going to sound like a really silly question, but you drove yourself from your home to your daughter's home?
Correct.
Okay. Once you got to your daughter's house, can you tell us what happened?
Well, actually, all the ways there first, I was looking for a vehicle that they had announced on the Amber Alert. So all the ways there, I was looking. And when I got to her house, that was the first thing she said to me, "Did you get an Amber Alert?" And I said, "I did."
What vehicle did you spend that 50-minute drive from your home to her home looking for?
It was a white vehicle with a license plate of V as in Victor 69023
Okay, that's a license plate you remember to this day.
to this day.
How is it that you remember that number?
I was a dispatcher for the sheriff's department out in Las Vegas.
Okay, so the number stuck with you.
Yeah, because I looked for, I couldn't tell a Subaru from a GMC, but I can tell you a license plate. And all the ways there, I looked for that license plate.
Anything specific about that license plate besides the number that stood out to you?
The V for Victor, which is a veteran's plate, so I remembered it was a veteran's plate.
So while you
Didn't
were
know that.
driving from your home to your daughter's home in Keene, did you see that vehicle at all?
No, I did not.
Once you arrived at your daughter's home and that was, you had this conversation with her about, did you get the Amber Alert too? What, if anything, did the two of you do?
We got in her car to leave to go to Vermont.
And who was driving?
She was driving.
Okay. And do you remember, I don't know if you know the roads or the streets that you took, but do you remember how it is that you started to head to Vermont?
I really don't know the streets.
Okay.
Sorry.
Not a problem at all. Your daughter was driving.
Correct.
Where were you seated in the car?
I was in the front passenger seat.
Okay. Now, did there come a time while you were driving and you were headed to what town in Vermont?
Brattleboro, she had just left a nursing home job, and she wanted to bring some stuff to people that were still there, blankets and stuff and candy.
So that morning, while you and your
Aw.
daughter are heading from Keene to Brattleboro, Vermont, did something unusual happen?
Yes, we actually had, the way I know, we were heading there, and we got to Chesterfield, and there's like a, I call them circles, rotary, and we went around the rotary, and as we went around the rotary, we were discussing the car and the license plate, and we proceeded up a hill. And when we're going up the hill, my daughter says, "Here comes a white Subaru." And I'm like, "How do you know?" You know, it's a Subaru. It's all her husband drives, is Subarus. And she goes, "Ooh, 6'9". Oh, no, there's a V. And I said, "No, it's V. It's for veteran, Victor, 69023." I said, "That's it. That's the car." And I told her to turn around real quick.
Okay, so you're heading from Keene towards Vermont?
Towards
the
Vermont.
Vermont border, or Chesterfield is where you're
Correct.
heading? Okay,
Correct.
Were you already in Vermont at that point, or still? in
No, we were still in New Hampshire.
At that point, when your daughter said that she saw the car, did you see the car?
I did see the car. I saw a white car. Couldn't tell you what it was, but we were both like looking for the license plate, and that's where she and I, she's like, "Oh no, there's a V." I said, "Yes, veteran V."
And that vehicle, which direction was that coming from? Was it traveling in the same direction as you, or from a different one?
No, it was headed towards Keene, and we turned around on the very next road to follow it.
Tell us about that. What happened when you tried to turn around and follow that car?
Well, she turned around and we were at the end of a road waiting to turn out there. And there were cars coming down and there were two vehicles in back of the white car and a big old truck was coming and she's like, "There's a truck coming." I said, "I don't care. Step on it. Go." It's fast. Go. And we did. We followed. We were 2 car lengths behind. Actually, we were the third. I'm sorry. But when we got to the circle and headed out, there were 2 lanes. So she got in the left lane so she could get in back of him. And she pulled back over into the right-hand lane. And I had called 911 just as we had turned and were heading down the hill.
What a
So at the
wild
time
thing to
that
experience,
you
right?
were getting ready to pull out in front of
Goodness.
that truck, you were already calling 911.
Correct.
On the phone with them.
Correct, I was.
And you and your daughter driving, so when I say you, I don't imply that you're driving, but
Right.
your vehicle was following this white car from a couple of lengths behind.
Correct.
Okay, at that point, when you were 3 cars, or the third car back, could you read the license plate to confirm it?
No, I couldn't. The dispatcher was asking me, "Can you see the license plate?" And I said, "No, not right now. We're getting as close as we can." And then finally we gotten back and I was able to tell the license plate number. And a matter of fact, I even told them, they asked me if I was sure or something to that effect. And I said, "Well, I can tell you it's registered for the month of March. It has a number 3 sticker on it." And that's when they confirmed it.
Now,
Oh.
while you were behind that vehicle, once
Right,
you got
Pam.
right behind him at the vehicle
Yeah.
at the traffic circle,
Yeah.
could you tell anything about who was inside of that car?
I could see a gentleman driving and he had a baseball cap on. I didn't see anything else other than that. And he was looking in the mirror, so I kind of put my phone down on my lap and put it on speaker because I didn't want him to know I was on the phone.
Okay, you could tell that the person was looking in their rear view mirror.
Yeah, they were looking rear view and side mirror.
Now, can you describe for us, like you're on the phone with 911, what are you telling 911 as you're behind this vehicle?
Just, they kept asking me where we were at and I was giving them the best directions I could because I don't know the town of Keene, so my daughter was yelling things at me, "We're here, we're here." And then I knew we get up to the lights where the state police barracks were, so I told them we were at the state police barracks. And then we get to the next light and I told them we were proceeding towards the next circle, oval, whatever rotary.
Okay, rotary traffic circle.
Yeah,
It's a roundabout.
Devices that don't necessarily work to control traffic.
correct.
Okay. Now,
Are they not called that
as you
everywhere?
were
That's what they're called about here.
driving, you just indicated the white Subaru drove right past the state police barracks?
Yes, it drove to the
didn't-
entrance of the state police barracks.
Have a great
Did
day.
there come a time that while you were following that vehicle, and you said, first of all, you dropped your phone down into your lap?
Yes, because I told the dispatcher, I said, "I think he sees me on the phone. I'm afraid he."
Yeah. Now you're objecting over the hearsay? Okay. Let's see. Nope. Camera guy didn't save us that time. That's okay. We forgive you, cameraman. It's fine. We appreciate all that you're doing. Yeah, that would be a wild experience, right? Like what? Her and her daughter? Good for them. You call those racetracks down here? I guess you are just making left turns the whole time, right? That's funny. Tracy says her work with dispatch and the fire department really helped. I agree. I would have never thought to look to see if he could see me. Yeah, no, thank goodness she had that. I mean, I'm not good at memorizing things or noticing anything. What did the binder say? Dustin Duren Bates? That's weird. What's Bates mean? I don't know what that means. Anyway. But yes, I do think it had a lot to do with her previous employee experience. That she is able to keep an eye on those. Because have you ever gotten one like when you're? Because so like I live in a big city too, and if there is an Amber Alert, they put it like on the highway screens because that's what we have. And I'm always like, man, that would be like really wild to see. Or like, what if I did? I wouldn't know. I'd be horrible at it. That's for sure. But good for her. So Keene is in Vermont. Is that where they are? I don't know. I'm very confused about locations in this story because they're pretty close. I just know he's very far away from where he lived. Oh no, Keene is in New Hampshire. Okay. Has a population of 23,000. Oh, that is not big at all. Oh,
The hearsay which I'm sustaining, and I'm instructing you to just disregard the last component of the witness's testimony relative to a hearsay statement.
oh.
So, Ms. Campbell,
Probably me too.
as you're testifying here today, right, we understand that you know what you told people, okay? But there is essentially a request that you not say what you told the dispatcher, just what you observed, okay?
So I observed, got you, okay?
Gotcha.
So,
So what you observed and what you were doing at the time that you were observing things, okay?
okay,
Even though we understand that you were, is it fair to say that while all of these things were occurring, whatever you saw, whatever was happening, you were relaying that information to the 911 operator?
correct,
Okay. And you were doing that so that they would know where you were, what was happening, and your concerns about what you were doing, which was following a vehicle that was subject to an Amber Alert.
correct.
Okay. Now, Ms. Campbell, was there a time while you were following that vehicle that it came to a stop?
Inside the convenient MD, it came to a stop.
Okay, can you describe for us how that happened?
Like how we got there?
Yeah, how'd you get there?
We went down, I don't know the
It's okay if you don't
direction.
know street names,
Yeah,
but you were
we went around the first rotary and I explained that which direction we were headed towards McDonald's. And then there was another rotary and another rotary. And when we got to the last one, we went around it and the blinker was on to turn into
The
McDonald's.
blinker was on the Subaru that you were
On the
following?
Subaru.
Okay.
So, we were ready to turn into McDonald's, and at that point, my daughter said, "Here comes a police officer," and they were coming in the same.
Yeah, you
Did
can't
you
say
see a
that.
police officer come?
Yes, there were police officers
Again,
coming
you
from
can't
every
testify-
direction.
Right, you've got to be careful about what you saw versus what
Ooh,
other people
Angie.
saw.
Okay,
Okay?
Gross.
So did you see a police officer coming from the other direction?
yes, I did.
Okay. And then, so the directional,
It's only
the
56.
blinker directional was on the
Here.
Subaru, like they were gonna turn to McDonald's?
McDonald's,
Okay,
but,
And then a police officer came in towards you.
correct.
So what happened with respect to the white Subaru? Did they turn into McDonald's?
No, they kept going, and they turned into the convenient MD. And when they turned in, it heads down towards an Applebee's, and the car stopped right there.
Right there being where? At the
At-
convenient MD or at the Applebee's?
It's at the end of the convenient MD parking lot going into Applebee's, and they stayed there. So we stopped, and I saw the gentleman looking in the mirror, and I told my daughter, I said, if this person gets out,
It's okay, what were you, so you had some concerns because you saw the person looking in the mirror?
correct,
Okay.
and
Then
the
once you-
Amber Alert said, oh, gosh,
Approach, please.
Oh, okay.
sorry.
So while they're going up there, Liz, just seeing it reminded me. So the other day in Discord, because I don't know if you were here when we talked about it, but some of us watched A Deadly American Marriage about Jason Corbett. And I imagine since where you're from in Ireland, it seemed like it was a pretty big deal over there. But I was like, oh, I got to remember to say something to Liz because they focused a lot, on his family in Ireland and whatnot. Wasn't sure if you were familiar with it, but it was certainly a fascinating documentary to watch. Oh boy, is Molly and her dad Tom crazy pants? Because yes, they are. Yes, they are. So sorry, I just remembered seeing your name. Isn't that how it goes? Angie says it's quite beautiful, just cold this morning. 67 will be the high though. Yeah, it's only 56 here. It's been getting chilly. Like we've been getting frost alerts and stuff. Not a fan. Not a fan. For the rest of you, if you haven't watched A Deadly American Marriage, you should. It's on Netflix. It's an hour and 42 minutes, and it is wild. Wild. Didn't even expect it to be like that, and it was pretty crazy. It's also a matter of self-defense, you guys. The audacity of them to claim self-defense is mind-blowing. Mind-blowing. And there'll be parts that will really piss you off too, because it was for us. Oh, you haven't heard of it, Liz? Oh boy. Well, Jason Corbett was from Ireland and his kids. So he moved here after he got married to this woman named Molly. It's a whole thing. I don't want to spoil it for you. But I thought it was very interesting.
Hearsay objection sustained, but subject to rephrasing.
Ms. Campbell, after the car came to a stop, this white Subaru came to a stop at the Applebee's or in the entrance to the Applebee's. You and your daughter inside of your vehicle stopped. Is that fair to say?
Yes,
Okay, where did you stop?
probably about 10 or 15 feet behind the car.
Okay. And while you were stopped, you testified that you observed the person looking in their mirrors.
Correct.
Okay. You waited inside of your vehicle at that point?
Yes.
Okay. While you were there waiting inside of your vehicle, did officers arrive on the
Documentary, you
scene?
guys?
No, because the car ended up pulling forward into Applebee's and parking.
Okay.
And-
Once that occurred, what happened with your car?
We proceeded into Applebee's parking lot as well and parked on the opposite side, kind of diagonal from that
Where you
vehicle.
could watch the vehicle?
Correct.
Okay. And your purpose for doing that, is it fair to say, is to make sure that if it left again, you were gonna follow it again? Okay.
Correct.
Did the vehicle leave again?
No, it stayed in the parking spot.
And did officers arrive at that time?
A lot of officers arrived at that time, and we were basically blocked in.
All right, and so you were there the entire time that officers were on scene at the Applebee's?
Correct.
Okay. Court's indulgence?
Certainly.
Yeah, it was from that documentary that I learned there was a Limerick, Ireland. And I was like, oh, I didn't realize Limericks came from a place, I guess. Never really thought about that. That's why I can't forget. I was like, oh, that's interesting. Makes sense, I guess.
Ms. Campbell, I'm going to show you what is marked as for identification. As State's Exhibit 19A, I almost asked to borrow your glasses. As State's Exhibit 19A for this case, can you take a look at that for me?
Yes,
Do you recognize that?
absolutely.
Okay, I know you haven't shown this photo before, is that fair to say?
No, never.
Okay, but what is depicted in this photograph?
The license plate that was on the Amber Alert and the white Subaru.
Is that the vehicle that you and your daughter followed that day?
Yes, and there's the number 3.
Oh, and you're pointing something out to me. So you're indicating the license plate number matches the number you've told us.
Right, and number 3 is the month that it was registered in.
Okay, so you can see the registration sticker on there as well that
Yes.
matches your recollection.
Correct.
Thank you. I have no further questions, Chairman.
Okay, thank you.
Does this guy just have to keep bringing the podiums back and forth? It's weird. That's his whole job, I guess. Is the defense not allowed to use the podium? I don't know. I think this should.
Ms. Campbell, I just have a few questions for you.
Okay.
You testified that you received the Amber Alert from your phone in the middle of the night.
Yeah, I don't know what time it went off.
Yeah, but it woke you up.
Correct.
Okay, and then you went back to sleep for a little bit. And you live in Bennington, New Hampshire, correct?
Correct.
And you had to drive later on that morning to meet your daughter in Keene, correct?
I had to meet her for 9 a.m.
Okay. And when you when you woke up, you remembered about this Amber Alert and it was on your mind, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Like her
So
job.
you were aware of the license plate number they were looking for
Correct.
in a white sedan,
White, yes, Subaru, I think they said, or,
white car, yeah. So when you're driving from Bennington to Keene, are you, you're headed west, right? West toward the Vermont
yes,
border? Okay. And when you are headed, you get to your daughter's who lives in Keene?
correct.
Okay. You switch cars?
Yes, we
Okay.
switched cars.
So she's driving her car, you're a passenger.
Correct,
And you two head toward Brattleboro, Vermont, right?
correct.
Which is continuing west away from Keene toward the state of Vermont, correct?
If you say it's west, sure.
Let me show you a map that might help. Defendants, A2 for ID. Do you recognize what that is?
Yeah, that's the Applebee's there. We came from, how do you tell? I think the road we came from was actually down here.
Fair enough, but can you see Brattleboro, Vermont, or the border at least for Vermont, New Hampshire in that map?
Where's Brattleboro? Oh, over here, correct, yes.
Okay. And so you were driving from Keene away from Concord, right? Away from Concord toward Vermont.
Away from Keene towards Vermont,
Right.
yes.
Concord
That, to me, that would
east.
be north. I'm kind of confused.
You were headed toward Vermont.
Correct,
From Keene with your daughter driving.
correct,
Okay. And the white car with the veteran plate that you observed was headed from Vermont into Keene,
correct,
And so you don't know where it had been, but it was driving in the direction of Keene from Vermont, from the border of Vermont.
correct.
Okay. And when you observed this car traveling, you started to follow it, right? Your daughter did.
Yes, we turned around,
And you observed that it was driving with the flow of traffic, right?
correct,
At normal speed.
correct.
Nothing erratic or concerning.
No,
And you went through some rotaries, roundabouts, traffic circles. And at one point, the driver put his blinker on to turn into McDonald's, right?
that's where I thought he was turning into. That's where the blinker came on, was
Right.
just before McDonald's.
And McDonald's is just a few, I don't know, a mile or so up from Applebee's?
Oh, not even a mile.
Not even a mile. Okay.
Couple buildings.
Couple buildings, okay, thank you. So, but it didn't turn into McDonald's, it kept going. And you said it went to the MD convenience, correct?
Yes,
Or convenience
Convenient MD, yes.
Which is sharing a parking plaza with Applebee's?
No, it's not sharing one. It has its own parking lot, but you can get from that parking lot to
Okay,
Applebee's.
thank you. So it's the car you observed stopped in the parking lot for Convenient MD
Yes,
for like, what, less than a minute?
I'd say about a minute.
Okay. And you were just sort of, you and your daughter lingering behind in your own car,
Yes.
with 911 the whole
I
time?
was on with 911 the whole time until the police showed up.
And then after a minute, it drove down into Applebee's parking lot, you said,
Correct, to the left.
to the left, and parked in a parking spot, right?
Correct.
Okay. And then you went also into the Applebee's parking lot,
But to the right
To
and
the right.
parked.
observed the scene.
Correct.
And then how long after that did the police show up and block you in?
They were there within seconds.
Okay.
I mean, I think, oh, never mind.
Okay. So, and then there was a lot of police activity, right?
A lot.
Yeah. And the driver of that white vehicle did not try to flee, correct?
No, he did not.
Just see if I can upload it. I don't have anything further, thank you.
Okay.
No, Your Honor.
No redirect? Okay. Can Ms. Campbell be excused?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Thank you. Yep.
Okay. What is happening, friends? Are they taking a lunch break? Or, sorry, I had to make a whole nother pot of coffee. Banks must be the thing in New Hampshire. Well, they're sending the jury out. Why, though? Oh, are they going to be arguing something?
Whichever is more convenient. Not now, but either before or after, depending upon the circumstances at the time, just so that we have a ability to plan and understand what the next steps will be. Okay.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, we'll be back at 11:20. Thank you.
Oh, back at 11:20. Oh, they're just taking a short break. Okay. So, cool. Love that for us. Well, then, that gives us some time to look at some more documents. What about that? Let's see what we got. We finished that one. Proposed jury instructions. That wasn't there. Oh, actually, we could. So the defense has proposed jury instructions about defense of another and endangering the welfare of the child. So I think we could, let's take a look at those. Shall we? While they're on break. All right. So this is proposed by, sorry, let me take a drink of my coffee. I got all this coffee. This is the defense's proposition for jury instructions regarding physical force in defense of a person. I can make this bigger. Just a second. There we go. make it bigger and bigger. There we go. All right. So I thought this was very interesting as well. So here comes the defendant, Dustin Duren, through counsel and requests that the court instruct the jury on RSA 6274, physical force in defense of a person. The requested instructions are as follows. So this is what they're proposing that they want to send back to the jury. So I think, let's go over it and see like, because jury instructions are very important. I know they're always boring when they argue about them. That's true. But this is what the jury has to work with, right? So this is what the defense wants it to say. All right. So in defense of another, the defendant has raised the defense of another with respect to all of the charged offenses. When such a defense is raised, the state must prove beyond a reasonable doubt that the defendant did not act to defend a third person. So that is another interesting thing about self-defense claims is, right, the burden is still on the state to prove that they weren't acting in self-defense, which I think is interesting, right? Because in some other defenses, it's up to like third-party defenses. The defense has to lay some proof there. So there are 4 circumstances under which a defendant is justified in using deadly force upon another person in defense of himself or a third person. First, a defendant is justified in using deadly force upon another when he reasonably believes that such other person is about to use unlawful deadly force against him or a third person. Second, a defendant is also justified in using deadly force upon another if he reasonably believes that such other person is likely to use any unlawful force against a person present while committing or attempting to commit a burglary. These are the statutes we looked at earlier, except explaining it a little bit more. A person is guilty of burglary if he or she enters or remains unlawfully in a building or occupied structure with purpose to commit a crime therein. Third, a defendant is justified in using deadly force upon another person when he reasonably believes that such other person is committing or about to commit kidnapping, which is what they're saying. Fourth, a defendant is also justified in using deadly force upon another if he reasonably believes that that person is likely to use unlawful force in the commission of a felony against the defendant or in the defendant's dwelling or its curtilage. Curtilage is the area between your house and the street, in case you didn't know that. Deadly force means any assault which the actor commits with the purpose of causing or which he knows to create a substantial risk of causing death or serious bodily injury. The term serious bodily injury means any harm to the body which causes severe, permanent, or protracted loss of or impairment to the health or of the function of any part in the body. A person is not justified in using deadly force on another to defend himself or a third person from deadly force by the other if he knows that he and the third person can, with complete safety, retreat from the encounter. However, the person is not required to retreat if he is in his dwelling, which he was, its curtilage, or anywhere he has a right to be and was not the initial aggressor. So what we would be arguing there would be initial aggressor. Okay. The person who uses deadly force has no obligation to show that his conduct was reasonable or met the requirements of the law, which is a little mind-blowing to me, to be honest. The burden is entirely on the state to disprove the defense beyond a reasonable doubt. An actor using deadly physical force for lawful defensive purposes must reasonably believe that one of the 4 circumstances I just described exist. The phrase reasonably believes means that the actor need not have been actually confronted with one of those 4 circumstances as long as he could reasonably believe those circumstances existed. Don't love that. Don't love that. The law does require perfection. Or, I'm sorry, the law does not require perfection. It requires objective reasonableness. That's important. In considering what is objectively reasonable, you should consider all of the circumstances surrounding the incident. You should consider how the defendant acted under the circumstances as they existed and not necessarily as they appear or detached reflection. A person may be forced to make a split-second judgment in circumstances that are tense, uncertain, and rapidly evolving about the amount of force that is necessary in a particular situation. Examination of reasonableness cannot, therefore, be made with the benefit of hindsight, which is afforded by one viewing the circumstances after the fact. Okay. Defense of another is a complete defense. This means that with respect to all charged offenses, the state must prove beyond a reasonable doubt that the defendant was not justified in using deadly force to defend himself or another. You cannot convict the defendant of any of the charged offenses unless you agree unanimously that the state has met this burden of proof. If, therefore, during your deliberations, you cannot unanimously agree that the state has disproven self-defense and defense of another beyond a reasonable doubt, you need not consider the remaining elements of the charged offenses, and you must find the defendant not guilty. So they're saying if you find him not guilty on this, he's not guilty on all of the things, which is interesting. And so those were their proposed jury instructions for that. And, ooh, okay. Well, so that's what we're looking for in this case is can the state prove that he had no reasonable, reason to do this? They don't have to prove shit. The defense doesn't. So that's interesting. What else do I have for you guys? Because the endangering of the child doesn't matter. Read the state file regarding that. Anyway, so those are those things. And as I said, they just dropped the first-degree murder charge on September 17th. So just a month ago is when they got rid of the first-degree murder and just went with reckless second degree, which I found to be interesting. What is going on over in this court? They were changing colors and everything. That's true. Discord is easy once you get used to it. It's a little different, so. Oh, you're just used to YouTube, so you freaked out over there? Oh, there's no reason to freak out on Discord. Everybody was new once, and, everyone there is pretty friendly because they're also usually in chat, so. Yeah, well, my guess is they couldn't prove the premeditated part, I guess, but I don't know. I don't know. Those instructions could bring a hung jury, to be quite honest with you. So that's interesting. But hold on, I think there was one spot where it says when they raised this defense, like when they said they were going to do it. Hold on, the defendant charged with murder, deadly weapon. By notice dated. Okay, so by November 14th, 2004, remember this happened February 29th, March 1st. So November is when the defendant said he may rely on the defense of self-defense. So several months later, that he thought she was kidnapping the kids. And I'm wondering, that kind of makes sense what the prosecution's been saying of like, well, he couldn't have known because he didn't talk to any of these people. So like, did they just come up with this defense because they got some discovery where they're like, that might work for us. I think that's kind of what they're doing here. So Pam says, I don't know. Seems like he thought about it as he stewed on it all day, asking her when she was leaving, right? Because, you know, he said, well, I do think we're going to probably listen to his interview with police because they just, a lot of times in trial, they do things in sequential order, right? So now they've spent time focusing on the Amber Alert where he went, and now he's about to be arrested, which means we're probably going to get the interrogation or interview, whatever you want to call it, after lunch would be my guess. But right, he never heard or saw conversations about a plan. Agreed. Okay, I do have them on there. Okay. I mean, because, yeah, if he didn't know that there was a plan, of course, in the back of his mind, if he didn't have custody of his kids, he'd be worried about her taking him. I mean, and again, she wanted to call the police. If I didn't think that I had the rights to my kid and the other person was like, well, I'm going to call the police, I'd be like, yeah, go ahead. I don't want you in my house. You're not taking my kid. Let's call the police. But that didn't seem like that was an option for him. So, and I do have a problem with that. Pam says, I can only imagine how the day went for Caitlyn trying to find her way out with the girls as he was being a complete ass, screaming at her to leave. Yeah. Tracy says, what if he looked at her phone when she went to the bathroom or something? Could be, but based on his own words that his defense attorney said, he knows that she got a text and that made him assume that there was a plan. But he could have gotten her phone too. Could have.
Proceed it.
Well, we read the motion. Who are we calling? Yes, we did have a code word.
Sir, can you remain standing and raise your right hand?
Oh, Kelly.
Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth under the pain and penalty of perjury?
I do.
Thank you. Please take a seat.
Who's this guy?
Sir, could you please tell us your name and spell your last name for the record?
Yes. Joel Velez, V-E-L-E-Z.
Sir, where
Officer.
do you work?
I work for the Keene Police Department,
How long have you worked there?
just under 6 years.
Did you attend and graduate from the New Hampshire Police Academy?
I did.
What year?
2020.
What's your current role or rank with the Keene Police?
Patrol Division.
And just generally, what does that mean for you as a patrolman? What are your duties?
Respond to calls for service, protect life and property.
Are you ready to move to New Hampshire,
Officer
Kelly?
Velez, on March 1st of 2024, were you scheduled to be on duty that day?
I was.
What shift were you working that day?
Day shift, 0645 to 1645.
So 6:45 in the morning to 4:45 in the afternoon?
That is correct, sir.
Before your shift, were you woken up by something in the morning?
I was.
What woke you up?
An Amber Alert that had gone statewide, I believe.
When you responded to, or when you went to the police station for work that day, did you receive some further information related to that Amber Alert?
We did. The whole shift did.
What information did you receive?
That the previous Amber Alert that had gone out had last pinged in Concord. The driver, registered owner of the car, Dustin Duren, was identified to us. Was believed to be driving a white Subaru Impreza, New Hampshire veteran registration, V69023. Was in the company of his 2 young children and was believed to be armed with at least 1 handgun.
Did the Keene Police subsequently receive some additional information related to that vehicle?
We did.
And what information was that?
At about 10 a.m., our dispatch fielded a call that someone believed they were traveling behind the car from the Amber Alert.
As a result of that call coming into dispatch, what did you do?
I immediately left the station.
Where did you go?
I was tasked by my sergeant to travel westbound on Route 101 towards Winchester Street.
And what was your purpose in traveling in that direction?
To intercept the vehicle.
That day, what were you wearing in terms of a uniform?
I was wearing a fully marked Keene Police Patrol uniform.
With a badge clearly visible?
Yes,
And what kind of car were you driving that day?
a fully marked Keene Police Patrol vehicle.
Did you get into your cruiser or that patrol vehicle and start driving in that direction?
I did. I responded with a code 3 lights and sirens.
So lights and sirens activated. Was it just you in the car, or were there any other officers there?
I was the only one in that car.
Officer, I'm handing you what's marked for ID as State's Exhibit 14. Can you take a look at this?
It's a map of Keene.
What section of Keene does this show?
So it shows Route 101, which runs east and west, Route 10, north and south, as well as the Winchester Street Key Road Rotary.
And there are a couple of notations here. There's a notation for an Applebee's and for a convenient MD. Do you see those?
Yes, I do.
Are those accurate compared to where those businesses are in Keene?
Yes, they are.
And is this picture a fair and accurate representation of this section of the city of Keene, New Hampshire?
Yes, it is.
Your Honor, this time the state moves to strike the ID and introduce Exhibit 14.
The ID may be stricken with respect to Exhibit 14, and it shall be considered a full exhibit.
So officer, you should see it on the screen there. I'm gonna ask you to actually come down and step down from the witness stand.
Sure.
If you would. We have the map a little bit bigger here for the jury.
That attorney definitely collects
You
swords.
just stand up there and we're gonna be waiting for the microphone coming to record your testimony. If you stand off to the side so the jury can see. And please just make sure you speak into the microphone. Officer, what do you see here?
It's a map of Keene.
Okay, what part of Keene?
Route 101 runs east and west.
My God, those are a lot of
Route
annoying
10.
roundabouts.
North and south.
Where's the police station in relation to what you see here?
It's a bit further eastbound, up Route 101 here.
And you see, can you point out for the jury the convenient MD and the Applebee's? And can you point out for them the parking lots?
Hi, Amos. Good morning. Why what?
Are they connected at all?
They are. You can access here off of Winchester Street. You can access here off of Winchester Street. And then it's a shared parking lot for both. This little slip lane here. We'll get you from convenient MD to Applebee's.
So officer, there are a couple of rotaries or traffic circles on this map, just for the record, and ask you about the larger one towards the bottom of the picture. What roads feed into that rotary?
The larger one here.
He
Winchester
just looks
Street,
like somebody that
Route
collects
101 east
swords.
and west, and Route 10 south.
So it's fair to say that
Nothing wrong with
the-
collecting
the
swords.
road going south out of that traffic circle is Route 10, but the road going north is Winchester Street?
That's correct.
And is it 101 east and west on both sides?
That's correct.
If you were to travel west on Route 101, would that take you in the direction of Vermont?
It would.
And then, as you said, if you travel east on 101, that's further into the city of Keene towards the police department?
Correct.
I'm going to ask you a couple more questions about this. Is there a McDonald's somewhere
Yes, there is.
in the area? Can you point out where it is?
Sure. It's just north of the Key Road, Winchester Street Rotary, situated up here.
If you mentioned Key Road, can you point that out with your finger for the jury?
Yep. This is Key Road, and it runs back into a shopping plaza.
So, officer, if there were a car traveling north from that larger traffic circle on Winchester Street towards the second traffic circle, the smaller one, could that car turn left into the convenient MD or Applebee's parking lot?
No,
Why not?
separates the north and southbound travel. They would have to navigate the rotary and come back around.
So a car that was coming north out of the traffic circle of 101 and 10 would need to go up and around the second traffic circle to get back down to the Applebee's parking lot?
That's correct.
And then just to be clear, Convenient MD and Applebee's both have parking lots, but it is possible to drive from one to the other without obstruction?
That is correct.
You can safely return back to the stand, thank you.
Thank you.
So, officer, you told us that you were at the police station, then you began driving. What route did you take to get to, well, I'll ask you this, did you go to this area that we see on the map?
I did.
And did you go there directly?
I did.
What road did you take to get there?
Route 101 westbound.
Okay. So, as you traveled on Route 101 westbound, did you eventually get to the area of the traffic circle with 101 and 10?
Yes.
And as you were driving, did you receive further information from dispatch about the location of that vehicle?
Yes, I did.
And what did that information tell you?
The initial reporting party had watched the car exit and begin northbound travel on Winchester Street towards the McDonald's.
And so when you received that update, was that while you were already in your cruiser
Yes, it was.
and you were en route, so to speak?
I was.
About how long did it take you to get from the police station to the area that we see here?
It couldn't have been more than, it was under a minute.
Could you tell us what happened when you got to this area? What did you see or do?
So as I approached the rotary in the slip lane for Winchester Street, and we got that information, I saw what looked to be a white Subaru Impreza begin traveling northbound. So rather than continue westbound, I started traveling northbound on Winchester Street as well.
You mentioned you saw a white vehicle, and at that point, did you know if it was the particular vehicle you were looking for?
I did not know at that time.
Where was this white vehicle that you saw? What direction was it traveling?
Northbound on Winchester Street toward the second rotary, Key Road, McDonald's.
Could you tell if it was coming from the eastbound, or was it traveling, or was it coming towards you from the west, or was it traveling in the same direction as you when it went north?
No, it was traveling from the west.
Okay, so coming in the opposite direction.
That's correct.
So you saw a white vehicle, what did you do next?
As I continued driving northbound, I maintained a visual on the vehicle. I watched it navigate the rotary. I sped up, accelerated, I navigated the rotary, and was able to get behind it, just maybe a couple cars lengths.
When you say you saw it navigate the rotary, which rotary are you referring to?
Winchester Street, Key Road.
Okay. So you've told us that you're not behind that vehicle. What happened next?
I could see the taillights as well as the rear license plate affixed to the car.
And did that, what was the license plate that you saw?
It's New Hampshire Veteran V69023.
What did you do next?
I followed it, preparing to make a motor vehicle stop, but it turned into the Convenient MD Applebee's parking area.
Did you follow it?
I did.
What did that car do once it turned off the road into the parking lot area?
It came to a stop in one of the designated parking spaces.
What did you do?
I told dispatch where we were, and I read the license plate twice, I believe, and dispatch confirmed that that was the vehicle from the Amber Alert.
Why did you do that?
One, to confirm who I was likely going to take my gun out and point it at. And I had written it on my hand in the morning in roll call, but I had sweated it off.
So you wanted to confirm that
Yes.
that was the right one? After you received that confirmation, what did you do?
Exited my cruiser as quickly as I could and raised my gun until it was level with the driver's side window.
Officer Buzz, why did you take your gun out when you got out of your car?
The information that we received was that the driver, owner, operator, Dustin Duren, was believed to be armed with at least one handgun, and that he may have been involved in a shooting that morning.
So is that for your safety?
And anyone that was around, it's a fairly busy shopping plaza.
When you took your gun out and stepped out of your car, what was that vehicle doing?
It was parked.
Could you see anyone in the vehicle?
I could see the driver at the time clearly.
What happened next?
I began to give commands. I yelled out to the driver, hands, let me see your hands. Couldn't have been more than a couple of moments later, I was joined by some other officers.
So I want to set the scene. You are standing next to your cruiser? Is that it?
I was.
And you had the door open?
I did.
Were you standing behind the door?
I was.
Why were you doing that?
To just give myself some sort of cover in case the suspect or the driver engaged me in a gunfight.
I mean, knowing that there's
How-
children
how
in there,
far
I
away
couldn't
were you
imagine that kind of
from that
pressure,
White vehicle.
you know.
I would say 2 car lengths,
Any
More often
obstructions
than not,
between you and
these
that car?
don't end well.
none.
When you began giving commands, what did the person in the car do?
He was compliant. He put his hands on the steering wheel so I could see both of them. And that was the last command I gave. They were taken over by another officer.
So other officers joined you?
Yes.
What were their names?
Officer Kyle Macy, Officer Nicholas Panel, and Sergeant Mark Cotton.
Did one of those officers take over giving commands to the individual in the car?
Yes, Officer Macy.
Did the individual in the car comply with those commands?
He did.
What did the individual in the car do as a result of those commands?
He exited the car, remained compliant. He walked backwards towards the sounds of our voices. He was placed up, he was put onto his knees and then taken into custody, secured into handcuffs.
From the time that that person came out of the car and the time that he was placed into handcuffs, did he say anything?
He did.
What did he say?
Initially, he said, "My kids are in the car," something to that effect.
Did he say anything else?
He did.
What did he say?
He said, "There's a pistol in the door."
Did you get close enough to that individual to observe him?
Yes, I did.
Do you see the person who came out of that car, who was driving that white car here in the courtroom today?
Yes, I do.
Could you please point him out and identify him by describing an article of clothing that he's wearing?
Sure. That would be the gentleman seated here with the glasses on.
Your Honor, may the record please reflect that the witness has identified the defendant.
The record shall so reflect.
So, to be clear, the defendant is the person who was taken out of that car and arrested?
Yes, he is.
After the defendant was taken out of that car and placed under arrest, did you have any further interaction with him?
I did.
What did you do?
I ultimately served as a transport car to bring him to the state police barracks.
Oh, I was muted. I think her parents.
Before that, after he came out of the
Oh,
car and he was placed
oh.
into handcuffs, what did you do?
I approached the car.
I know they're in Minnesota.
I was instructed by my sergeant to collect the 2 young children that were in the back seat with Officer Panel.
At what point did you notice that there were children in the back seat?
Prior to the defendant being secured into handcuffs, one of the, I believe it was the infant, poked her head up.
Did you approach the car?
I did.
And which door did you go to?
The driver's side rear.
Okay. And when you got there, what did you see?
The infant was in the back, and she was just kind of lying in the car seat. She wasn't strapped in or anything like that. She was wearing a diaper. It was overflowing with feces. And her, the older sibling.
Your Honor, can we approach?
Oh, sorry guys. Oh, you didn't want the jury to know that your defendant never changed her freaking diaper? Oh. Jeez. Jeez Louise. His dad made reference to that yesterday on the stand. Well, you know, I'm glad that both sides of the grandparents like can get along to do that for the kids. You know, because obviously we know that with some families, that's not how it usually goes. So I commend the parents on both sides, the grandparents working to do that for the girls because, you know, they need some stability considering what's happened to them. And I do hope Ewan, the oldest one, is getting all the sorts of therapy she needs. Oh, sorry, guys.
Condition when you saw her?
She was lying across the passenger side of the back seat, not buckled in. She looked terrified.
Officer, what did you do when you approached that car?
I opened the door. I asked Officer Panel to hand me a red flannel shirt so that I could wrap the infant up, and I took her to my cruiser, and I held her until EMS collected her from me.
I'm sorry, I think there's noise. You held there until,
EMS collected her from me.
Oh,
Officer Velez, on the day that we're talking about during the events that we've discussed, were you equipped with a body-worn camera?
Yes, I was.
What is a body-worn camera?
Its purpose is to capture any incident that we respond to as patrol officers during the course of our shift.
Is it standard for you to wear that when you're on patrol?
It's policy.
Where is the body camera located on your person?
Essentially in the center of our uniform shirt.
So you're indicating with your hands kind of the center of your chest.
That's correct.
And when does that body camera turn on?
There's a couple different ways to activate it. We wear looks like a watch. It's a remote. We can activate it. Any rapid movement running will activate it. Our emergency blue lights will activate it.
Referring to March 1st of 2024, you said you were wearing a body camera.
I was.
Did that body camera activate at some point?
It did.
Why did it activate?
I started running out the door when dispatch advised of the caller behind the car.
I'm going to back up real quick. You mentioned that you wrapped that infant in a red flannel shirt. Where did that red flannel shirt come from?
It was in the car.
right.
Officer Velez, I'm showing you what's marked for
Might just
ID
be
States
not
Exhibit
though.
15. You
Yes.
recognize this?
Yes, I do.
What is that?
That is the recording captured on my body-worn camera.
So it's a CD, correct?
Yes,
And you reviewed the contents of the CD?
I have.
What is on this CD?
My body camera footage from the day in question.
Okay. And is this, strike that. Your Honor, at this point, we've moved to introduce as a full exhibit, States 15?
The ID may be stricken with respect to Exhibit 15, and it shall be considered a full exhibit.
By the way, I'm going to be painting my nails this afternoon when the instruction says within
Officer,
4
your body cam
hours,
ran for quite some time.
avoid hot water and household chores.
Only captures a portion of the day that you were active. Is that correct?
Correct.
And is it fair to say that this video on that CD ends right as you collect that infant from that car?
It does.
Oh, okay. Oh, we're getting video, guys.
Before we play it, Officer Velez, does the body cam that you wear record volume?
It does after 30 seconds passes.
So when we start this video, will we hear audio right away?
No.
Why not?
You have to wait for the 30-second mark to elapse.
Okay, so the audio will come in after about 30 seconds?
Yes, it will.
Before we started, Officer, when this video begins, where are you?
In my sergeant's office.
Okay, and is that at the Keene Police Station?
Yes, it is.
And then, just very briefly, when it starts, do you begin moving towards your cruiser?
I do.
And do you make a comment with a profanity in it?
I do.
And what is that comment?
I spilled my hot coffee on my hand, so it's something to the effect of, fuck, that's hot.
Been there, buddy. Been there. Even on my own stream. My mouth.
For the record, we're not playing States Exhibit 15. Oh, I screwed up, but I was just gonna
I
pause
didn't know
it
you were
there
a
briefly.
911 operator for 15
Officer,
years.
you saw a couple of other officers that quickly began running. What happened there?
Dispatcher just told us that the caller was on the line behind the car.
stupid, I promise. I knew that was gonna. That would be me too. My voice would turn on like right when I'm like, fuck. That would be my luck. That's them responding to what was her name, Carolyn, I think, her phone call. It's not that far away from the Applebee's or whatever. See if I can turn this up for you. There's a nice clear sky for New Hampshire and March 1st. It'll still be gray here. Body cams are pretty good. Oh, and let's see sirens. That was thirsty today. Have you guys ever seen Italian cops? You might want to give them a Google. Hot cop. That sounds like it should be like a TV show or something like that. Hot cop. I mean, I think it's very impressive when they like drive and chases and stuff. Like, they're all that. a tattoo there or something. Kelly and Llama get a new show. I was wondering if Court TV was gonna blur the girls' faces out. Usually they do.
Officer Velez, you mentioned that you kept, or held on to that infant until she was taken by EMS.
That's correct.
Was the other child also eventually given to EMS?
She was.
I have no more questions.
Just a couple of Velez. When you pulled into the Applebee's, were you the first officer on scene?
I was.
Okay. And you confirmed that you were dealing with the correct subject of the Amber Alert, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And at that point, when you pulled in, you could just see the driver in the car?
Correct.
You didn't see any kids at that point when you just pulled in?
That's correct. It's fair to say, yes.
And you started yelling commands, and you told us on direct, and we saw in the video that the drivers complied.
That's correct.
Okay. And when the driver opened up the door, he did yell, "Kids in the car," correct?
When the driver did?
Yes.
Yes, he said something to that effect.
Okay. And then he also told you that there was a gun in the car as well.
Yes, ma'am.
And he actually said it's on the driver's side door.
He did.
Okay. And then we heard you on the body cam yelling, "Pay attention to us." Was that because the driver was looking back to the back seat?
So that was Officer Macy.
Oh, okay, thank
That's
you.
his voice.
Did you observe, though, the driver looking in the back at that point?
I don't recall, ma'am.
Okay. Was that your voice when you said "kids in the car"?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And that was when the infant popped her head up?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Aw.
Nothing further, thank you.
Can you redirect?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Can Officer Velez step down?
Thank you.
Can you be excused?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
I'll say this, I do think Dustin's kind of the POS for killing the mother of his children. But I do appreciate that he did not harm the children, because unfortunately, that's the way things end too many times. And I will,
Okay, members of the jury, we'll stop there for the lunch break for the day. We'll stop there and return at, try to reconvene at 1 o'clock. Again, as I said yesterday, if you do happen to run into anyone, please don't take offense if nobody speaks to you, and I instruct you to not speak to them as well. And again, please do not discuss the case amongst yourselves or with anyone else for that matter, and don't conduct any research or transmit anything about what you've seen or heard as part of the trial. Okay, we'll try to reconvene again at 1 o'clock. Thank you.
all right, you guys. Well, that's good news that they're going to reconvene at 1. I have a very good feeling that when we get back, we're going to see his interview with the police. Oh, I think it's going to be very hard to hear, because that body cam was hard to hear. But, we'll do what we can do. Right? It's bad. I'm not going to complain about being able to see or the audio, because we can now, and I appreciate that a lot. Okay, so here's what we're going to do, friends, is some of us are going to go over, I think it's besties and higher members. I don't remember off the top of my head, but I'm going to do a quick little Llama Learns About. If you want to join us, you can always become a member. Oh, they're still talking. My apologies.
Deal up here, please.
Oh, they're just
Thank
going. Of course they are. If you'd like, you can become a member by clicking the join button and pick which tier works for you. I am going to set up the afternoon stream real quick, though, before I go live doing that. That way, everyone else can hit the notification for when we come back from lunch. I will probably be back about 12:50, 12:55 to start the afternoon stream. Because yes, Pam, you do not want to miss this afternoon. I'm pretty sure we're going to get this interview interrogation, which is very important in case he doesn't take the stand, which I think he needs to. And you're going to need some snacks. That's right. Bring your snacky snacks. So members, I will see you all in just a few minutes. Like I said, I need to set up the stream first and not get distracted. And we'll start. Llama learns about, what are we learning about today? We're learning about the Beastie Boys girls lawsuit, Governor John Ratcliffe, who was in Pocahontas, but his story, I guess, is a lot worse than what they showed in Disney. And I want to say Oliver Cromwell's head is the other topic. So let me see. Yes, that is exactly what we'll be learning about today. If it's not too long, we'll see what we can do. So I'm going to go do that. The rest of you, I will see you this afternoon. And I appreciate you being here with us this morning. I can't wait to see what the afternoon has in store for us, quite frankly. So, all right, friends, I will see some of you. The others, I will see some of you in a little bit longer bit. So I'm going to go do that. And until next time, go forth and be amazing. Bye, guys.